Hello, everybody. What's on your shirt there, buddy? Is that a bear? No, that's a Is that a chipmunk?
Yeah.
No, it's a bear.
Bear.
Playing a guitar?
Is that a bass guitar?
Yeah.
Mm.
My mom bought it and was like, it doesn't fit. You want it? I was like, sure. She goes, all right. And my mom plays bass, so it's what she bought.
Oh, your mom plays bass guitar?
That's cool.
Oh, that is so cool.
Hi,
Every time I
everybody.
go over, she's like, listen to new song. I was like, okay.
You could put Philip in the new spot that you got for him. I thought it was clever.
Oh.
When you're ready. Hello once again, everybody. Welcome back to Stormkeep. We're here for our 59th episode of Dungeons and Dragons. Isles in the Mist campaign. A lot has happened over the last few weeks. Things have been amping up. We're so happy to have you guys here tonight for our next episode. That's cute.
No, the glare.
Oh, the glare. I see now.
The glare.
Oh, yeah, you're right. There you go. Okay.
The glare.
The glare.
All right. Wow. So, my goodness. Let's do intros. I'm StormyD, and I'm your dungeon master and host. I play all the monsters and NPCs, especially Rylar the Suffrigant, the main party NPC. Circling over there, we have Druid IRL and extirpatefate. Say hello,
Druid
guys.
IRL.
And I'm extirpatefate. Yeah! Druid actually plays the character Fern, who is a Circle of Spores wood elf, with a little...
Druid. A wood elf circle of spores druid.
Same thing.
Said it?
I said it in the way that I said it.
Okay, fine, whatever.
You have Choncopod over there.
I do have Choncopod.
Yeah.
Choncopod.
Yes, there it is. Stroncopod.
Stroncopod!
Yes. All hail the Stroncopod.
And this is Fate. He plays Lorkris, who's a Goliath, a cleric of Melora, and cleric of Weejaws, Paladin of Melora.
There we go. She got it. She got it. Come on. All right,
I don't want to ever do each other's intro ever again.
But that was pretty funny. I liked it.
I mean, it goes to show someone doesn't pay attention.
Attention, my brain just stopped working. It got baked in the sun.
Yeah, you spent a lot of time today in the garden. We got this lady right over here. It's itsStarkitty.
Hi, everybody. This is Philip. Philip is no longer an imaginary friend to Emillynn Ray. Philip does exist. He's a little baby beholder that has been with Emillynn since she was 8. I am itsStarkitty. I play Emillynn Ray, the College of the Battlesinger Bard, War Bard party leader of this
Band of misfits.
These reckless misfits.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Reckless misfits.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, welcome in, everybody.
It was reckless relic hunters, right?
Yeah.
Right.
We are the reckless relic
Which
hunters.
is interesting, which I find interesting because they're not really hunting relics.
Nope.
But, I mean...
But we always find them.
You find interesting things, but we don't hunt them.
True.
That's the...
But I mean, we
do.
are part of Jocko's relic hunters, so.
Yeah, that was the guild that you bonded to.
Yeah.
And
but
that was
we
what he
haven't done any
named it
relic
because that
hunting.
was what he conceptualized when he came here. So, but it turned out to be something completely different. I mean, technically, you guys have found some interesting relics.
We have, yeah. We actually found quite a cool thing.
Technically, I'm also a relic too, though. A relic of an ancient time.
You're old.
Yeah. So respect your elders then, okay?
Elders don't know what to do. in panic situations.
Ares does
Except
have a
electrocute
point.
everybody.
Yeah. The relics that you're hunting is the ancient lore of the land.
Ah, I like it. Oh.
Okay, so that's us. And what happened last week? I'm sure you're curious. I mean, most of you here already know, but for those new folks watching our YouTubes or watching this stream for the first time, last week was an interesting time. The party members had previously defeated the Beholder mini-boss in his lair, and with his zombie Beholder, basically minion, the two of them together, and they still popped them both like zits. And they had looted his lair of all of its treasures and its lore, as it were. It's they learned quite a bit. They learned more about
Seymour.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sagramore. But yeah.
That's what she said.
Yeah. So they learned that this beholder creature was working for some other, like he was a boss, but he was not the boss, and he's apparently beholden to some overlord being called the Void Lord. That was what he called him anyway. And that there's more to things than are going on. And that the Beholder, for the last 15,000 years, basically had manipulated the Gloam Elf people into ultimately completely sacrificing themselves and their entire civilization to this false religious notion, and just so he could somehow drain away the divine corrupted essence from their avatar. And they had a brief conversation with that avatar when they spoke with her using the Speak with Dead spell, and learned a few more things. And on top of that, they discovered, they discovered the plans of the Beholder to a certain extent. It wasn't complete. There's still layers of the onion that need to be unpeeled. There's still things that they don't know. But they do know somewhat, a little bit more than before. And they also figured out that there's a nodule, is what it was called, some sort of bioarcane device that was implanted in the heart of the Gloam Elf avatar woman that was basically stuck in the tree, dying for 15,000 years. And it was they pulled this shard from her and finally sent her corpse to dust. And
dust.
The shard, the nodule, as it was called by the Beholder Mage, Beholder Wizard, Beholder Lord, whatever he is, the shard nodule is also tied to the corruption of the land, and tied to it's apparently, because it's tied to the corruption of the land, it can give them the power to somehow traverse the bramble wall, the giant magical bramble wall. I guess here I'll show you guys. If you look at the map, you can see the deep wood forest is a giant bramble wall forest, giant petrified forest. And so, but they also learned some strange things. Obviously, Philip. I don't know where I got Patrick.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know, right?
Do not offend Philip.
Philip is a baby beholder, somehow related in some way.
Philip is a prototype.
Yeah, he's related in some way to the beholder that they defeated. Although, and Rylar has some sort of thing inside him possessing him from time to time that apparently is out to target these beholder this beholder, and Rylar was under the conception in his own mind that it was a heretic. Again, because he believes he's the cleric of goo. So from that point of view, that's why he thinks this thing is the heretic. But whatever is possessing Rylar when he fights against the beholder, views it as some sort of views the beholders as some sort of priority target for its mission. And but it did not think that Philip was a priority target. In fact, it recognized it as a prototype, but a non-threatening and non-dangerous. So it did not attack him.
I have never seen Philip use any type of magic in all the years I've known him.
So that's. They also got a lot of treasure.
20
Holy crap!
years.
You guys got a lot of treasure. 15 pieces of treasure.
So much.
Because there had not been a lot of treasure. So hey, there's the relics that we were talking about earlier.
Exactly.
Yeah, like the quiver of the Gloam Elite. That's technically like a super ancient relic.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
Going that to Ariana Moonsong?
Or
So whatever the captain's name of Team 2. We give that to her.
Or Fulcrum.
Or Fulcrum. But I don't think Fulcrum uses a bow, yeah?
Right, he's a ranger, right?
Yeah, but he could be a dual wielder.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fair.
Going back to Aries' comment, fate will send you to Weejoss. Actually, it was Fern who sent the Avatar lady to Weejoss.
Yeah, because she was the one to rip the nodule out of it.
I ripped it out of her chest.
So Fern did it.
It was still warm and squishy in there.
And Emillynn technically sent the beholder to Weejoss on Lorkris' behalf.
That's true.
That is true.
That's true. Well, but see, you guys, you guys are a team, so indirectly, you still sent them to Weejoss. So because it required a team effort to get to that position.
Yeah. That was like a grunt party popper from Halo. Just.
It was awesome. Yeah, you guys ended up getting a lot of cool loot.
Actually,
Yeah.
in that first beholder was a team effort between myself and you, Lorkris, because you're like, curse it, double the damage, and I'm like, fireball.
Really, really big fireball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I rolled
Yeah,
lots of damage.
Yeah.
I was like 92 or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, let's see.
Well, Beholder didn't go to Weejoss. He went past death. There was no
46
death
times
saves
2,
for
yeah.
that Beholder.
True.
92.
46 times
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, Haley's at 54 and you did 92 points of damage to him, if I remember correctly. So.
Yep.
Anything.
Damn right.
Yeah.
So that's
No,
so now the party had they were exhausted. They identified all the items. They decided they doled out the items to who was going to use what, and they decided they had Rylar try and communicate with or try to reach out to Goo to get some understanding about what's going on, and he actually got a response for the first time. But
Yeah,
it wasn't a very useful response because it basically somehow indicated that I don't know they kind of reached the conclusion that they can't communicate with Goo directly right now where they're at, and so they have some experimentation to do. And then the other plan that they had was they want to get a view of everything from the top of the ziggurat. So they're in a situation though where they can tell that the central tree within the ziggurat is cracking and coming apart. So they have a choice. They can either make their way down the tree and get away safely that way, or go to the top of the ziggurat, in which case they won't be able to go back the way they came. They'll have to climb down the ziggurat another way.
Or we could just all turn into birds and stuff and fly down.
And apparently, Fern has a plan for that. So, which is a pretty cool one, I think. So I think that's the recap. Did I miss anything, guys?
That sounds pretty good to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing was that we forgot to, we couldn't think of very good questions for the lady.
You got some decent
It
ones.
took so long for us.
Yeah, that's interesting. It's interesting. Good. All right, so we're gonna start rolling and seeing who gives me the recap first. Emillynn Ray.
Philip, they can still see you and hear you. Oh my gosh! Now can everybody else in this world? Very interesting thought. But I do have to say, that was the biggest thing that stood out to Emillynn was watching Fern casually pull the nodule out of the lady as she was talking about something at the same time. Emillynn was just like,
Talk about that.
what does she do? She's just casually,
Rylar and I.
just casually pulling that out.
Right on. Okay.
Forgot about that. That's funny.
It is funny, yep. Lorkris.
I wonder if Emillynn is just as surprised as I am that Fern kept those conversations and questions on track.
On the what?
On track. Fern didn't deviate from the questions. It didn't devolve into chaos. It was straightforward.
Well, but
Lorkris is proud.
Yeah.
Lorkris is very proud. He's like, she's growing up. Finally. And then simultaneously don't know where to go from here. Maybe I have an idea. No. I need to talk to Emillynn about this dimensional magics. She can understand this. That's about it.
Okay.
I did forget to add in that I don't know why I'm surprised, but why do gods have to be so cryptic sometimes? Looking at Rylar.
Oh, that's the other thing that I honestly forgot. We also did the dreams. They were pretty big impactful.
That was true.
For the level up because they leveled up. So yeah,
Level 15. Level 15.
So real quick, we'll back it up a bit real quick. What was your dream? Your level 15 dream about?
Let's see. Where did I write it down?
It was you talking to Philip in the first time you guys met.
Oh yeah. My dream was meeting Philip for the first time. How I found him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just picture him in his little thing with his little eyeballs poking out between the things,
Yep, and how
you know.
we tried to go back. Oh, yeah. Outside of my dream, trying to go back and find that cave that I found him in. Couldn't find it. So, yes.
And Lorkris, what was your dream?
Lorkris is in that dungeon cellar kind of weird spot with all the seems like undead and souls reaching out to him, and then was trapped in the cell, and Weejas being Weejas. And then he ripped himself out of it by bending the bars, and then her essentially questioning him if he's ready.
And you woke up looking more gaunt.
Yeah. Hungry.
As long as you don't
hunky.
turn into a foot in the grave cleric, we're good.
Foot in the grave. That's funny.
But he already is, though.
Yeah. He's a pact of the grave cleric, yeah.
Yeah.
So, Fern, your turn now. What stood out most to your character, and tell us about your dream.
I'll start with my dream.
Okay.
I was walking through Misty City, but nobody was there. And I used and I got onto a boat, and I used magic to like untie it and stuff. But I used my own pure, cold, hard muscles to push myself off all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool. And I woke up and I felt extra cool and powerful after that. Okay. So, pretty much confirmed that I am a descendant of whatever crazy people lived in this crazy whatever ziggurat thing. Because when the lady said, "You look like you know could be whatever," and I'm like, "Ah, cool." And then and Chocopillar's trying to come out of his little cocoon. He's trying so hard and stuff, and he's starting to wiggle around in there, which was cool.
Can't wait to see
Thank-
what Chonkopilla looks
Yeah.
like.
Thanks for reminding me. That was the other big thing. I guess there were a lot of things that happened last time too.
That
so.
happens.
Yep, Chonkopillar is wiggle, 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 wiggle.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle.
Wiggle, wiggle,
You wake up so strong.
wiggle, wiggle.
Right on.
Again, shout out to Banana Tom for creating Philip.
Yeah,
Yes.
for the artwork, it's awesome. It's a great emote, and it's just great art. It's awesome.
Yeah. Look at him. He's so precious.
Yeah,
Especially
right.
with his tongue, little
Look at
tongue
him. So I
sticking
was looking
out.
at him.
So cute.
What stood out to Rylar was all the crazy loot you guys got. He was surprised
Oh
by
yeah, that too.
And he's a little. He thought it was super wild and creepy that Fern was able to so easily just reach up in that lady's chest and yank that thing out, and that now you guys he's looking forward to and kind of anxious about, not anxious like anxiety anxious, but excited anxious to see if we can go up top of the ziggurat and look out across things. He's curious about all the stories that you guys have figured out from the history wall and from the journal. He's wanting to understand it and like is curious about the mystery of this, light on the mountain. So, I don't know. That's what stood out most to him. He's also been having this idea running in his head. He doesn't know why. It's kind of stuck in his head. He had a weird dream. He doesn't remember the dream, but the dream left him with a memory, with an idea in his head that he wants to find a way to be more versatile with his spells. Since he wants to figure out a different way of, like, I don't know, he's hoping to understand his spells better and be able to do different things with them, because he doesn't have very many spells like Miss Ray and Miss Fern. He only has 3 per short rest, and so he thinks it's cool. He really loves his ring that you guys gave him because it gives him more spells, and he wants to figure out another way of doing that, and so he's been thinking about that. Of course, he's not very smart, so it hurts his head. And yes, you have a question?
Can I add one more thing
Sure, of course.
to my thing?
Mm-hmm.
It's just a note that I took about when we talked to the lady.
Uh-huh.
I wrote down, it took 1,000 years before realizing how shitty it was to do what she did. That's all. I thought that was the only note that I took when talking to her. So.
Yep.
Nice. That's with the cackle. Bitch.
All right, so if I remember correctly, we left off where you guys basically left out. You went out of the room, and had confirmed that you all could still see Philip, and that's where we had stopped, right?
No, because we already were down there and we talked about lady and stuff.
Right. No, yeah, right. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. You did all the stuff. Yeah, right.
I believe we left off really with like the premise of like, what do we do next? And like, we can hear this place starting to groan and creak. No immediate sense of danger, like it's falling apart right now, like gotta run. But we gotta decide where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So, with that, that's where we'll be at, and we'll move to Chat Dark. Thank you guys for joining us once again. Enjoy the show. We'll see you at intermission. Okay, you're standing there in the on the outer balcony area where you guys had rested that one time, just on the outer edge of the lower temple, the history room temple, and that's where there are bridges that go off to the different sections, the upper sections of the ziggurat. And you can either choose to take one of those bridges in one of the cardinal directions, or go down the tree stairs that you came up. It's gonna be up to you guys.
All right, team, who votes we go up? Raise your hand.
Rylar raises his hand right away. He's excited. He wants to see the view.
What do you think?
Well, this thing's creaking. If we go up higher, that means we fall further.
But I can turn us all into birds, though.
You can do that? Rylar asks.
What?
And
Now I can.
Philip echoes it. He says, you can turn us all into birds? Have you always been able to do that?
No.
Oh, okay. That's good, because that would be dumb if you hadn't done it before. And you could have.
This would be my first time.
Well, what will happen to me if you turn Mithray into a bird?
You have to hold on tight?
I don't have arms.
Emillynn has to hold on tight.
If she's the bird, well, how will she hold on to me and fly at the same
Or
time?
little footsie.
Oh, she's gonna dig her claws into my flesh?
I'll make sure that her talons aren't that sharp, okay?
I wouldn't hurt you, Philip. You know how much I love you.
Okay. Well, I guess whatever you guys, I'm along for the ride, so I don't have any say though. And Rylar's like, we could do it. We could do it. I want to be a bird, and I want to. Yeah. How long can you turn us into birds?
For 24 hours.
I'm gonna actually amend that, since remember how the flight technology is not something that would have evolved.
But birds can't even cross over the thing yet either. Or like the barrier.
You have a point.
Didn't the dragons even have a hard time too going over the barrier?
Yeah, I guess you're right. It's fine.
Plus, we still have to try to make it through the thing. We don't know how long. I mean, okay.
Start making my way up the stairs. Let's go, Philip. Come on, everybody.
What are you gonna say?
I mean, as we're going, so where do we go from here?
Well, I do want Rylar to try and see if he can talk to Goo again, and to ask if he can be less cryptic.
Fair. I imagine we want to do that after we get off the crumbling tower.
Yes.
Well, I can't. I gotta wait another whole 24 hours before I can try again. So, I can't do it now anyway. So,
Okay.
Do we go try to test to see how this thing works?
oh yeah, we could do that. We're gonna go see from the top of the
Yes. The ziggurat?
The ziggurat?
Yes.
Mhm.
Like
Okay.
to see like to see if this area matches the map that we have, possibly.
All right. So you guys make your way across the bridge. It's a combination of stone and wood. Seems sturdy enough. And eventually make your way to one of the outer edge. There's another balcony around. Basically, you guys are kind of at the crown of this ziggurat, this pyramid on the inside, and so there's basically surrounding, another balcony area that leads into some archways that lead into a chamber. And you make your way into the chamber, and it's basically like a chamber that goes all the way around. And it does eventually you find stairs that lead up to the next layer, basically kind of on the outside of the whole temple area. And it does exit at the very top, where you're kind of blown away by this view, because you come up out, and the first thing you're seeing, when you come up and out, is this vista, and then of course the tree behind you that's coming up through the center of the ziggurat, and looking out across to the north, you see the mountain range. And you actually see real forest somewhere deep in the mountain range, and from this view, you guys end up, well, actually, let me ask you, which direction, if you look at the map, north is basically, well, you see the compass. So which direction would you come out the ziggurat? It's literally, this square matches up the same way as the compass. So pick a cardinal direction that you would come out to try, and because the bridges, there were 4 going in each direction. You would have probably picked a certain direction.
Who's leading the pack? Emillynn?
I think, Emillynn, you said you were.
I was. Well, I would want to see more of the direction, like
To the east?
to the east of the ziggurat.
Okay, so you would have headed east. All right, so then what you'll see, you'll come up out to the top part, and you see in the distance the deepwood, the giant petrified forest. Then into your
the map.
Yeah, I can do that.
Thank you.
And then you
Map.
see far to your left the mountains, and then far to your right the mountains, since you're in a huge valley. And you're also kind of surprised to see far in the distance, at the edge of the horizon, just peeking beyond the northeastern edge of the forest, dominating the rest of the landscape with kind of it's strange. There's a circle of clouds overhead, and there's some clouds that are lower than the height of this thing, but they almost kind of stop and dissipate around it. And so it's like clear, and you see this just bright glowing light on the top of this massive mountain. And to be clear, where it's at, you're baffled because the map that was drawn, I mean, you know that the map that was drawn by, early powerful explorers, in fact, the Archdruid, whom you know, he was one of the people who helped, facilitate this map being drawn. They used flight technology to be able to see, right? But they don't show, so you see where the words Deepwood are, and then there's some hills directly to the right of them, which is the east, and then there's the lake. So just north of those hills, before the mountains, is a giant grassy field on the map. But what you guys see is a giant mountain that takes up, like, roughly, its width would be roughly, at its base, probably 100 miles wide. So the mountain is massive, stretching up into the sky. And there's a glow coming from the top. But for some reason, it was not visible because, that's the only explanation you can think of. Either it wasn't visible, they chose not to draw it, or it didn't exist when they made the map, which doesn't make sense. But the only other explanation is they weren't inside the barrier, whereas you guys are. So perhaps the barrier also obscures vision of this mountain, besides making it impossible to make it into this area of the island. Of course, you guys obviously found a different way. So, but it's the other thing that you all take note of is when you see this view. Actually, I'm going to have all of you roll wisdom saving throws.
Wisdom saving throws?
Yeah.
Everyone gets a +3 for being within 10 feet of Lorkris.
Yep.
So wait. +3. Oh wait.
19.
19. Lorkris?
19!
Huh?
28.
All right. And what did you get?
19.
19. Okay. Oh, I gotta roll for it. You all feel this strong compulsion to go and see this mountain, see the light at the top of the mountain. You all do resist that compulsion becoming, obsessive.
Oh.
But you all have this sense like, wow, there's something important there. Something that I want to witness, something that I want to see, that I want to understand. You feel like the light at the top of the mountain has something to teach you that you just want to know. Again, you resist it being a compulsion. Well, I did say compelled, but you feel the urge to go, but you're not overtaken by this compulsion.
We're not in a hurry.
Yeah. You're like, okay, this is something that we can do. I mean, it's all tied to this somehow anyway, so it's obviously a place you are curious about. But you do find it fascinating that you felt this kind of pull to it.
I look over to Lorkris. Did you feel it pull, Fern? Lorkris? Rylar? Did you...
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it was weird. It was like, first time I've ever felt like that. I wanted to get some information that Goo didn't have for me.
I wonder if that's what's holding up the barrier.
Possible. It's probably the same light that was referred to in the history of Fern's people. Philip?
Yeah.
I wonder if it
Do
makes
you
me
see
think
the
that's
light?
something
Oh yeah, sure. Why do you think I wouldn't see it? I see it.
Do you feel compelled, or do you feel a pull to go see it?
I'm indifferent.
Oh, okay. Philip's not affected.
By the way, you also did feel a little bit more wiggling from Chonkapillar when you guys felt the same experience.
He's gonna explode out of the backpack any minute, you guys.
Hopefully not like the Beholder.
If your character would be curious and wanna check it out, and you can do a medicine check on it if you open it up. Oh yeah.
I'll do a medicine check.
Mm-hmm.
I have a plus 11 to my medicine check, you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what that means.
She's really good at medicine. Would be my guess.
26.
Yeah, you get the sense that he's making good progress, but it'll probably take a day or two.
You're so strong, Chonkapillar. You're doing so good. I'm so proud of you.
All right. So now you have options. You have choices to make. And don't forget that I have on this list that Lorkris wanted to have a conversation with Emillynn Ray about something. I don't know if this is the right time or not, but I just thought I'd remind you.
No, I'm with it. I mean, Lorkris has happened to be outside, but now outside on top of the thing that might crumble just fills him with dread.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to be up here.
Well, now you're looking down at the ziggurat at the bottom. There are these, the vines and stuff that I told you to describe growing up it. The giant thick vines. They're pretty climbable, despite you can either climb them or, of course, Fern suggested her idea, which is a good one. But now that you're up here, you feel a little bit of your fear subside because, one, these vines look thick enough that with your help, even if she couldn't have made you guys fly, you're pretty confident that it would be hard and tough, but probably no harder or tougher than going down the stairs. So maybe a little bit harder and tougher than going down the stairs, but the bottom line is it's doable. You all note that the vines seem kind of drier right now than you remember. Of course, you didn't see these vines from so far at the bottom, but I don't know. They definitely seem kind of drier. How most of the plant life and vines and roots that were growing throughout the land was covered in that slimy goo and was like writhing. Well, this isn't moving, and it's not, and it looks like if it did have slime, it's already starting to dry. So.
You guys, what kind of birds do you want to turn into?
Rylar was like, oh, I know.
Yeah?
I want to be a pigeon. I always used to like to feed the pigeons when I was drawing in the place that we used to live at in the garden, and so I liked the pigeons.
Pigeons are so cool.
When you cast a spell, is it can each target be a different animal, or do they all be the same animal? Do you know? Like in theory, like could you do one of us a bird, one of us a wolf, another a snake, like just.
What's the spell again?
It's called animal shapes. I can choose a different form for each target.
Okay.
Nice.
Just curious.
Miss Ray, what kind of bird do you want to be?
Rylar goes, oh, I have a question though.
Yeah.
Won't this be kind of, won't we lose all of our stuff and won't it be embarrassing when we're all naked at the bottom?
No, you want to be naked.
Well, that's
I'm
good.
pretty sure.
That's good. I don't want it. I like, you know, you guys are my family, but I don't want to be naked in front of you.
But we've all seen you naked though, Rylar.
You have? When?
We've all washed up and gone swimming together.
Oh yeah, well we're not completely naked.
Heard you poop. That's pretty close to being naked. I feel like I would rather you see me naked than hear me poop.
While this is going on, Lorkris just looks at Emillynn and just like, this is normal, I guess.
Yeah, you see Emillynn just...
Yep.
Out of character, I'm sure Banana Tom's going, wow, it wasn't Stormy going there this time. So, all right. So, all right. So, Rylar gave his request. He wants to be a pigeon.
I do have a question about your spell there, Fern. I mean, I've never been a bird before. How am I going to be able to know if I can actually fly?
Oh, Rylar says, I know, I can answer that one.
Go for it, Rylar.
Don't be a penguin.
You have to choose a bird that can fly.
But if I say I wanted to be like a falcon, would I in bird form know how to fly?
That is correct. You can't fly.
Oh, I have another question.
Yeah.
If you make me a pigeon and you make her a falcon, is she gonna eat me?
No.
Okay.
Because we all are gonna have our same brain. We're not gonna turn into a bird, actual bird. We're gonna have our own thoughts, our own feelings. We just can't use our spells and stuff.
Oh, okay. Does it have to last 24 hours?
No.
Okay.
Can each one of us to like end it at will, or
I do it.
you have to end it?
Yes.
So how are we going to unanimously, like, as a
We're
group?
going to fly to the bottom, and then we're gonna turn back into our own shapes.
Oh.
Yes, Rylar.
If we like it, do we have to go to the bottom and change right then? I mean, if we can fly and we want to go whichever direction we decide we want to go, can't we just fly for a while?
I think
Just
we
as
could
long
as
as
a
you
better-
don't... Oh, go ahead, Fern.
No, I was just going to say I do think that we should start actually flying to the deep wood. And then we could try to make camp, and then tomorrow, we start off the morning,
flying
and
to
then
the what?
Rylar can talk to Goo,
Flying to the deep wood.
Oh, right.
and then we camp there, and then we start off the morning with Rylar going to talk to Goo, and then we can try to cross the deep wood. Does that sound okay? And that gives you plenty of time to talk to Miss Ray about whatever it is you want to talk to Miss Ray.
Oh, I have some questions I want to ask Lorkris too when he's not busy with Miss Ray.
Make sure you write your questions down, Rylar. Don't forget
Philip
them.
says, is it just me or does he seem extra talkative now?
What are you talking about, Philip? He's always been talkative.
I don't know. It seems pretty talkative. I don't mind it though. It's actually good hearing input from him. He cracks me up for sure.
I imagine, like, as Philip talks, like, Lorkris constantly has this he's like, Like, who's talking? Like, but like, there's just brief moments of like, oh yeah, okay.
I gotcha.
It's
Yep.
like, oh yeah, we have
He's
another.
just like still, yeah.
Yeah, because he's not used
our
to
imaginary friend.
he's not used to the fact that Miss Ray's imaginary friend turned out to not be imaginary and is actually talking with you guys.
Yeah. It's not so much disturbing, but tend to kind of forget. And you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
I got
So
you.
you want to turn? So Miss Ray, you want to turn into a falcon?
Yes.
What about you, Lorkris? What kind of bird do you want to be?
Above table has fate. What do you think?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh no.
Oh.
Yeah.
A crow?
Yeah.
You're gonna be a crow? Okay. Are you guys ready?
I like the blackbirds.
So, Philip says, I'm kind of scared, guys. I think you're gonna leave me behind. I would admit Miss Ray's thinking.
You're not going to be left behind.
I would not leave you behind ever, Philip. You've been by my side the last 20 years. What makes you think I'd leave you now?
Well, that's true. But, you know, I can't, okay.
I didn't leave you when we got ate by the tree.
That's true. I told you we was gonna get ate by the tree. You didn't listen to me.
You were right. You were right.
I mean, it worked out okay, but still.
And they're talking. Bird just like claps their hands,
All
and
right.
everybody turns into the birds of their choice. So
You didn't tell us what bird you turn into.
I turn into a raven.
I knew it. I was actually gonna roleplay Rylar saying that, but then I realized Rylar wouldn't know that. Only I.
So,
DM
so we
knows
have a pigeon, a falcon,
A crow,
and a raven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have 3 predatory birds and 1 prey.
Yeah.
All right. So
Oh,
now that
I
I'm a
imagine-
bird, how does my size compare to Philip's as a bird?
You're
Hold on,
still
wait.
about twice his size.
Imagine there's that slight comical, like, Lorkris not understanding how to use wings, and as he turns into a bird and there's that poof, there's like that stutter, like, oh shit.
In
I think all of us are doing that.
Yep. You're
She kind of
I'll
caught
accept
us off
for
guard.
Rylar seems to be, not him though. For some reason, he starts prancing around. This is awesome. He's all like, he looks like
But we
natural.
can't
at it.
talk to each other.
No, I know. He's not. He's thinking. I'm telling you what he's thinking.
He's
but
communicating.
he's communicating with you guys with his telepathic. So you guys can telepathically talk to each other using his telepathy.
Does that work with Philip?
Unfortunately, not. You though have a telepathic connection with Philip, so you can relay, to Philip and back. The Rylars are like, oh, this is so cool. I like this. I'm ready to go. He actually jumps up and starts flying around you guys. He looks like a natural at it. Like, what the hell?
Fern looks over at Lorkris, who she's bigger than him in raven form. That little like hop over and like
Lorkris ain't happy. There's no facial expression on Burb, but you can see facial expression on Burb, like,
hops over and paws right into your face.
pick up one of your feet.
And Philip says to you in your ear, he says, he's the one who picked the crow. He could have picked the eagle, which would have been bigger.
I look over at Philip in bird form and go,
Do you relay that to the group? No? Okay. All right. So, you guys take off flying in the air as birds, and
Lorkris is the last to take off.
yeah.
He's actually a bit more nervous than he thought he'd be.
I'm like hovering around, making sure that Lorkris does take off, and I'm like, Fern, Rylar, don't wander too far. Philip, how you doing?
Fern is doing the thing where she flies up really high and then like free falls down with her wings tucked in and then swoops out with her wings open.
So you're just flying around. So Fern's doing that. I'm curious what you did. So you just took off right there, and you didn't.
Oh, I took off to like hover to just get my bearings of the bird.
Okay.
And I'm seeing if Philip comes with me.
He's just kind of hangs out there watching you guys.
Philip, come on.
Okay.
See him still? Is Philip still on the top of the ziggurat?
Well, yeah, like, of course he's not sitting on the stone. He's just hovering there. You need to tell me how far away from him you go.
Let's see. I'm probably like... Oh, so I'm probably like covering 10, 15 feet off the ground. Kind of like circling.
So is it 10 or is it 15?
15 feet.
Okay. As soon as you go beyond 10 feet, he suddenly feels a pull, and you see him just kind of pull towards you. And he's like, wow! And you start flying around, and no matter how you try and fly, he's like pulled along behind you. He's like, whoa, this is cool. Woo!
Fern like kind of like dive bombs like next to him, like swooshes by really quick.
Phil's like, he's crazy as always. You're gonna get us killed.
Interesting. 10 feet. I wonder if Philip doesn't wander too far from me.
I will be right back.
Okay. Pause. He'll be right back.
It's okay.
Anyways.
We'll go intermission mode. It's all right.
Well, basically, we could just RP Fern dive bombing the pigeon.
Okay. Yeah, so you guys spend some time flying around and getting used to it, and after a while of Philip letting you kind of strangely drag him around, he actively tries to hover next to you. And is everything okay? Okay. And so he actually is able to keep up with you, and he's like, "This is fun. I'm getting a workout."
Sorry.
Did you get a prop?
Lorkris.
What?
Yeah.
And the little crow.
Oh my God, that's so cool! Look at him.
It's so
I was like, oh, he's so tiny. Wait, I have a tiny crow.
That's so
this was
cute.
actually made by the same person that did
Did
the Chonkapillar.
Oh wow!
And the parrot.
Nice.
Nice.
That's amazing.
So,
It's so stupid.
that's all. Okay, I feel better now.
No,
I
thank
have
you
my,
for sharing that. I appreciate you. See, we got props are always great. People love props.
Yeah.
Maybe next time I'll have Fern turn me into a baby owl.
Oh yeah.
Because I have a
You know,
prop.
to be honest, like I thought about owl because it makes sense as like owl was really like the death omen.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I feel like Lorkris should be more drawn towards like the crow or raven because it would be more appropriate for like where he lived.
Yeah, for sure.
Or a vulture.
No, I'm not creepy Dave.
I'm creepy Dave.
Speaking of Owl and Hugo that we have up there, I guess from that angle they
can't see it on this one.
Yeah, but we'll go to this one real quick, and then they can see him up there.
Oh yeah.
You little baby owl.
Yeah, that's Hugo.
Hugo.
Just as a. Oh wait. Never mind. Forget I said anything. So back to what we were doing.
If you want to know more about Hugo, you can go check out the Bed with the Banter YouTube channel.
That's
where
right.
we interview Miss Starkitty.
That's right. That's right. Nice plug. Excellent. Okay, so you guys get used to flying, and you're really enjoying it. I mean, I don't know. You guys tell me if you think your character would enjoy it. Rylar's loving it. I know that Fern's loving it. I kind of feel like Lorkris would come around to it. It would be one of those things and be like, okay, this is pretty awesome, because it's that feeling of freedom, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely that respect of like, this is pretty cool, but I definitely would prefer to be on the ground. I don't mind heights, but I have nothing to hold on to, which, you know, it's. But it is a cool experience.
How about this?
You wouldn't actively seek it and go, okay, let's turn into birds now. He's like, okay, we're turning into birds. Let's go.
I gotcha. How about Miss Ray?
Like half and half. Kind of like it's an interesting experience flying, but there's just something about having ground underneath her that makes her feel grounded.
Well said. Okay.
That, and you know, flying 15 feet away from Philip and trying to have him catch up with the little pull. Like Emillynn's constantly going, Philip's still there? Is Philip still there? Is Philip still there?
Yep.
I'll be dive bombed by Fern. I should have picked Magpie, honestly.
Why?
Because magpies dive bomb everything.
I mean, ravens do when they don't like you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. So after some time, you guys make your way down. Actually, I guess you had decided that you were going to travel on, use this time in bird form effectively. You know, the old saying, as the crow flies, is true. So interestingly enough, in one of my previous campaigns with our other group, we did some research and digging, because they had that was pretty funny. They had a druid who turned into a bird to take a long journey for them, basically to deliver a message to someone. And so we ended up doing the research on how long it would actually take for a bird to travel that distance. And it is shocking how far birds can go in a short period of time. So you guys actually could make it all the way to the edge of the deep wood. It would have taken you a day and a half. It's only going to take you a couple hours.
It'd probably take longer than that, because I'm sure Fern and Rylar are like having way too much
Well,
fun.
okay, all right. We'll call it 3 hours.
And then Lorkris and I are like, come on, guys. Come on, we gotta.
No, he's in the back.
No, because Fern will like see something cool and shiny and like fly and like peck at it. Do that. The guac.
Be one of those constant things.
Ravens do?
There's Fern. Where'd Rylar go?
Well,
and then it's like, where'd Fern go? Where's everybody?
Eventually,
and then
though,
she sneaks up behind you and like pecks you. Flies away.
Eventually, you guys make your way to the edge. So it's neat flying over everything. You see that you know, basically to the east of the ziggurat, all the way to the deep wood, is that you know, that weird, rotting, strange kind of wasteland of a forest filled with all those vines and roots and stuff. And now that you're closer to it, of course, you first go down low around the ziggurat before you guys head over, right? You want to check things out. And it turns out you notice that the vines and roots have stopped wriggling, and it looks like that slime is drying up. So you pulling out the nodule has already made an impact. And yeah, so 3 hours later, you find yourself landing at the edge of the deep wood. Just like before, there's kind of a buffer zone area from the deep wood even to the corrupted land, where everything is just dead. There's just dirt right there, like about 100-foot section of dirt between the deep wood and even the corrupted forested area. And so you guys find a spot. Yeah.
What time of day is it? Because I remember when we went to fight the beholder. Well, not really went to fight the beholder, but when we went through the portal, we ended up fighting the beholder. It was earlier in the day because we had picked next day from what we did, and then we rested, and then we came back out. From the time that we spoke with the dead lady, ripped her heart out, came up here, flew around 3 hours. I would take it we're like either mid to late afternoon or the evening. Is that about correct?
Actually, yeah, mid-afternoon, yep.
Okay. We are now back to our regular forms, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So you all land, and Lorkris is kind of popping up to Fern in her raven form, kind of in their mind telepathy. He's like, come on, change me back now. Change me back now. Change me back now. What is he doing?
I'll start, like, okay, ready to go back now. Just wait.
Fern?
No.
Fern? May I please be changed back into my human form?
Okay, fine, you guys.
Rylar's like, oh, I gotta turn back now. Damn.
Only if you want to, Rylar.
Can I stay the pigeon forever?
No.
Well, I don't
No.
really want to be a pigeon forever, but can I stay for a while longer?
It's up to you and Fern.
Well, it's gonna be evening time, and we gotta cook food for everybody. So, I guess.
Yeah, I'll just drop.
Okay. So, you all turn back into your humanoid forms, your bipedal forms, and make camp.
And now all of a sudden Lorkris is towering over Fern.
I go over to Fern and I pat her on the head, going, that's a very nice spell.
Thanks. It is a very, very powerful spell.
By the way, I said 100 feet. I misspoke earlier. If I remember correctly, didn't I say that like the dead grass extended for like almost a mile out from?
Yeah.
Yeah. I meant, yeah, never mind. I kind of got ahead of myself there, but yeah. So you guys find a spot in the middle of this dirt field, effectively, to camp. Probably, I would guess, midway in between, a half mile from.
Do we see those shadowy elves?
Well, you're a half mile away, so. If you want to go investigate it, though, you're welcome to. You tell me what you guys want to do.
Before we just travel into the woods, do we want to wait until tomorrow and formulate a plan?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
I'm gonna go over there, and I'm gonna go pee. I'm actually gonna be right back.
Okay. So, well, did you want to take Emillynn aside to have your conversation with her, or was that going to be a group conversation?
I mean, I can do it with just Emillynn. Druid knows what I want to talk about anyway.
Okay.
And it's not like a super secret thing. It's just.
Right.
Well, now you know that the conversation is not just with Emillynn, it's now with Emillynn and Philip.
Right.
So Philip may
Does that make you
interject at one
uncomfortable
point.
at all?
No.
Okay.
Lorkris imagines that, like, before knowing the actual tangibility of Philip, that, like, if Philip talks to Emillynn and Emillynn talks to Philip and Philip hears and sees everything, Philip knows what we talk about anyway. The only difference is I can hear Philip's responses now. That's, yeah. So it's the same thing, I guess. He's like, yeah. I feel like Lorkris should, like, constantly look at Philip and then back to Emillynn. Because he's so not used to that being there.
Right.
I'm sure everybody is. It's just kind of like talking to Emillynn.
Well, Fern's not shocked. Fern believed.
All right.
She believed
seeing
and
him there,
relieved. No, she's not used to seeing him, but
that's-
she would talk to him as if he was there.
That's true. She did used to do that.
Yeah.
And Philip very much appreciated that.
Even if she was looking at the wrong shoulder from time to time.
I cried.
Yeah, I'm like, he's
That's all that
actually over
matters.
there. He's actually over there.
So, what's your conversation?
So, Emillynn,
Yes, Lorkris.
can you tell me more about this portal that we went through to this, what did you call it?
Pocket dimension?
Yeah. Because it seems very similar to our bags, but different.
It is very similar, but there's a lot more involved with creating a pocket dimension based on my understanding of magic and such. I'm not powerful enough to create a pocket dimension. That takes years and years of practice.
Yeah.
So add a character, is that not even a spell that a bard can ever get? I guess, but they can take wizard spells sometimes, right?
Yeah, they can. I mean, like I could probably take like Morgan Caden's Magnificent Mansion at one point.
If I allowed that spell.
Yeah, if you allowed that spell, that would create a pocket dimension.
That's true.
So
all right. So if you want to discuss that with him, then you do have enough. You don't have the knowledge now, but yeah. Anyway, I just was curious about
what
that.
level spell is Magnificent Mansion again?
Well, but you don't even worry about Magnificent Mansion. You could have, picked one of the other ones, like the hut, for example.
The
Newman's tiny hut.
Yeah.
Tiny Hut doesn't create a pocket dimension.
That one doesn't create a pocket dimension.
That's true. You're right.
Yeah,
Never mind.
It just creates a dome that is the same color as like the
No,
surrounding.
but it's still based upon the same magical technology.
That's fair.
But you're right. It doesn't actually create an extra dimensional space.
Yeah.
So.
So when we go through that dimensional space, do we actually move? Like that space that we went to that was elsewhere from where we were, but it was still there. So did we move away from where we were initially? Do you know?
So Philip asks, I don't understand your question. I mean, I know you're asking her, but maybe I could help. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
But you need to explain your question better.
That beholder did something that kind of made me think. And Lorkris grabs like a twig or something and starts roughly sketching out the idea of the magic, and places the one half ascending stone in the middle of it, and sets the bag of holding down. So I didn't realize that the glyph can be used to store other spells, but I always know if the glyph is moved a space like too far from where it was placed, it doesn't. However, dimensional spaces don't make you move, or do they? Because this circle takes a long time. I mean, a minute, it's not a long time, but it is a long time in the moment. I want to be able to cast it from a glyph. So I'm wondering if using a dimensional space like our bag prevents it from moving.
So,
I mean, it's worth a try.
I'm gonna let you roll an arcane knowledge.
Fern wandered off from
24.
this conversation is digging a hole.
She's wandered off and digging a hole. Gotcha. Okay.
Just playing with the dirt. She's just wandered off. She's like, this is too smart of a conversation, so bye.
So what'd you get?
24.
Yeah. So
24.
You have some ideas about this, but you probably need to think about it a little bit, and maybe after you think about it for a few, you think to yourself, I need to think about this for a few minutes, and then maybe have a conversation with Philip, and then maybe the three of you can figure it out together. Like you feel like you're at the edge, close to understanding what he's saying, and the possibility of what he's saying. But you feel like you need to ask some questions. You know.
I think I understand what you're asking, Lorkris, but I need to think a little bit more about it and how it works arcane-wise, and possibly consult Philip.
Yeah, even though I'm not like a master wizard or nothing, I just kind of sometimes know stuff, and that's why I'm usually able to help Mr. Ray get out of situations and stuff. You know how it goes. Put more than one mind together.
But if I understand what you're asking is this glyph. Once you cast it, if it moves beyond a certain point, it automatically goes off, correct?
It fails.
It
doesn't
fails.
go off, it will just fail.
Well,
Which is why they're often on stationary objects
so,
or as traps.
oh yeah, so he's talking about those glyphs of warding. Remember when you were studying that one time when you got your troop with they were at the university, the university, remember? And you spent some time in the library there in between jam sessions. Yeah, there was that one book you were reading about, and you talked about them glyphs of warding. I think it's like, it's 10 feet? If you move the glyph 10 feet, like if you put it on something and you move it 10 feet, then basically the glyph fizzles, it goes away, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you're wondering if you cast it on an object and you put it into the bag of holding, will it?
Is it moving? Does it move? Or does that plane stay in its place?
It's an extra dimensional space, so it's technically on the same plane.
well, but it's also kind of a bag of holding is unique too, right? Even more so than like, yes, a bag of holding is an extra dimensional space, right?
Yeah.
But don't forget that a bag of holding also has a temporal stasis built into it.
This is true.
Because, if you put organic matter, living people, living stuff in there, it like, it won't rot.
So, Lorkris, are you saying you want to cast a glyph of warding on something, put it in the bag, and then have it for use later? How did you come up with this?
You know how Magic Circle works.
Magic circle, what's that spell?
It can be a barrier against undead, fiends, fae.
By the way, you having this
like-
conversation with the group. She obviously wandered off and digging a hole. Is Rylar there still with you guys too? Are you having it away from him, or is he there too?
Yeah, no, this conversation is not intended to be a hidden conversation.
Okay.
Just
so
Emillynn is the one that.
Rylar says, "Ooh, Mr. Lorkris, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. That's crazy."
Yeah.
Wait,
What's that?
you guys had the same idea?
Well, not exactly. I was gonna ask him. I have this spell that I would like to try at some point, but it takes forever to cast. And I'm like, I wanted to see if he could figure out a way that I could like precast it, maybe put it in like the ring, or something. But like if we could get another ring, or if there was something else we could do. And you guys
What
are kind
spell is this?
It's a spell that binds people to this places of existence.
Or binding above table.
Oh, I mean, if that's above table.
Yeah, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I also have that spell, Rylar.
Oh, wow.
It does take forever to cast.
Yeah, it's like an hour. But I was wanting to be able to like cast it. So this glyph of warding thing that you're talking about, Lorkris, does it cast a spell immediately?
Kind of. In creating the glyph, you would cast the spell along with it. When the trigger goes off, the spell is then cast at that time, so there is no wind up.
So the
I guess.
triggers when the triggers when the glyph of warding goes off.
Yes.
Oh, so it would actually be like making a long spell instant.
Yes, though you would have to spend the time to cast the spell initially. So it wouldn't just be. So how? I mean, for me, my magic circle, this would take about a minute to cast. If I spent that minute casting it with. When the glyph goes off, it just happens. Much
So
like
rather
the delayed fireball.
So would it do
It
the same
just
thing
happens.
with my placer blinding?
What levels?
Uh,
What spell level is that, Rylar?
5.
I don't know that spell, so I wouldn't be able to do it.
Does this your glyph of warding? Does it require you to be the one that casts the spell into it?
Yeah.
Out of character, are you sure about that? Does it specifically say that?
Spell that I have prepared.
Really? I don't see that. Where's that at?
In Glyph of Warding?
Yeah. It just says you can store a prepared spell of 3rd level or lower in the glyph by casting it as part of creating the glyph. The spell must target it.
So to me, a prepared spell is a prepared spell on my spell list. That's how at least I interpret it. And that's kind of how we discussed
I don't
it as
interpret
well.
it that way. I feel like that two mages or 2 wizards working together. I mean, the idea that I have, the concept that I have of the glyph of warding, based upon our discussions and me reading it. I mean, I totally get that this may be wrong according to what the D&D developers intended, and or what most of the people in the D&D community think. But my interpretation of it is, because of the way it's worded, it doesn't specifically say it's a spell that you have to have prepared. It just says you can store a prepared spell. So if somebody else is preparing it at the same time that you're casting the glyph, I don't see any reason why you couldn't put it in the glyph.
That is very fair.
And that also for folks in the audience, that was why we're getting to the point. Well, I guess we're getting ahead of ourselves as far as the roleplay goes. But I'll share with them that you and I came to the conclusion that your idea of transporting the item in the bag of holding was clever and logical enough that I rule that it's possible. And we'll get to that in the roleplay. But the reason why, the logic behind it to me is that the bag of holding creates a unique space it's kind of a dimensional pocket outside of space and time. So it like holds that, if you're creating this glyph of warding with another spell stored into it, and you do it on top of the bag of holding, when you're basically putting it in the bag of holding, then that's going to be the place where it's located to, where it's attached to. And so if you move and that moves with you, then when you pull it out, it's not going to fizzle. It's going to activate the way you want it to. So that was what we came up with. So we'll just say that, I guess to get to the chase of it is, during this role play, talking with you and Rylar and Philip and Miss Ray, with her high roll on her arcane, you think it could work. You need to test it, but you think it could work.
You think it's worth a try?
It is worth a try.
I think I'm going to try it anyway, but...
What's the highest spell level you can cast?
6.
Okay. So, you can definitely try it on what you're thinking of and what Rylar wants to try. Because I think you should be able to store his level spell.
Actually, yeah, now I'm reading it though. It says the spell glyph will only store 3rd level or lower.
Read the at higher levels.
Because it starts, glyph of warding is a 3rd level, so that's the base rule, and as it goes up, it's equal or lower.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So if you cast a glyph of warding at 5th level, then you can store a 5th level spell in it. Okay.
Yeah, because I read that too, and that's why I was like, wait a minute. Then I read at higher levels. So it's like, okay, yeah, this is doable.
So the highest that, and I would imagine then by that same logic, if Rylar were to cast a spell and we were going to do it that way, it couldn't be higher than a 6th level spell because that's the highest I can cast.
Right.
So it has to equal or lower than the glyph of warding spell level.
And yeah. So obviously, if there's ever a point where you can cast a higher level spell then that's different. But yeah.
So you're saying with these spell glyphs, it's like any spell. So like, if you and I were to work together on a spell glyph, I could cast heal, and it would be heal on that glyph.
There are some types of limitations. The spell has to either target specifically a single creature or an area.
But that's what heal does.
I understand that, but you're not part of this conversation. You're playing dirt.
That is true.
Yes.
And talking to Chonka Pillar in the back.
So it is possible. It just depends on what type of spell, because the glyph is still really a trap. And it's just a way of manipulating the trap.
Yeah, Philip said you're basically making a magical mobile trap, like a grenade.
What's that?
It's like a thrown weapon. Your alchemist fire. They call that a grenade.
Yes. Gotcha.
Like you could make a glyph of warding that explodes for damage and chunk it at somebody. Of course,
You mean like a fireball?
it can't go farther than 10 feet because then it will fizzle out the glyph.
True.
But so you would have to set the trigger as something clever, right? That, and or, like it explodes on impact and you can't throw it more than 10 feet.
Fireball could be
Fireball could fizzle.
disastrous. Yeah.
But I'm
But-
thinking it's like heal, because then you could like trigger it and heal yourself. But I don't know. That's something we can come back to in the future.
Let's see. Yeah. Before we get ahead of ourselves, let's see if it actually
That is true.
is.
We must science this out.
All right, so you guys gonna experiment with it?
Yep.
All right.
I'm gonna go with something really small, like in practice, like
All right, tell us
we're
what you
getting
do.
ready to rest. So,
She stopped digging the hole,
Uh-huh.
and now she's just making dirt angels.
Okay.
Yes. Philip and I have this arrangement. It's like you always keep one eye on Fern, always, just in case. You don't want her to disappear again. So Philip will let me know if Fern disappears.
This is not something she's interested in.
Right, Rylar asked Lorkris, so Lorkris, you came up with this idea because you wanted to be able to cast the magic circle?
yeah.
Oh, like a clever way to turn magic circle into a combat spell.
The advantage of it, if you remember, magic circle can work in two different directions. We can either use it to protect ourselves from things in, or the way I intend to use it is to leave something in place, invert it, and walk out. If we're going to be dealing with a bunch of undead, we know what it was like fighting in the mausoleum.
This is true.
And it has been shown as we took on Steel Dawn, that isolating our enemies is useful.
Rylar says,
And
oh, go ahead, sorry.
and I personally haven't been able to do that.
Rylar says, he says, he says it's too bad though that, like, I feel like it would be still kind of slow to pull off, because when you're digging around in the bag of holding, it takes you a little while to find something sometimes, Too bad we don't have something that, can instantly give you what you want when you need it.
I mean, the haversack does that,
Oh, it does?
doesn't it? Emily?
Philip
Yes.
says, yes, that's right, it does.
Sure does.
Oh, Rylar's like, I didn't remember that.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I gleaned from my identify spell on it.
Whoa. So, what are you going to put in the spell, in the glyph of warding that you're going to try?
I'm just going to use silence, something that I can drop at my feet and not worry about causing any damage.
Okay.
Because
So-
everything else would really take too long, or would
What's the
really-
trigger that you want it to have?
So the trigger is when it hits the dirt at my feet. Like he's just gonna.
I mean, you don't have to
Straight
get
down.
that specific. You could just say, when I drop it at my feet, it triggers.
Sure. Yeah, that'll work. It'll take me an hour.
Why an hour?
Glyph of Warding takes an hour to cast.
Oh, right,
Yep.
right.
And
But how long is silence? Silence is something you can do in combat, right?
Yeah.
Philip-
This is.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say, Philip asks you, well, shouldn't you test it with a spell that takes longer to see if it's actually going to do what you want it to do? Why not just test it with the one that you want to do?
It's fair. I do want to be. I'm trying to be smart about my resources. We are in an unknown area and experimenting with spells and not knowing if the project could potentially leave us vulnerable.
Well, whenever
see
Mr.
your
Ray
point.
gets all willy-nilly about stuff and anxious and doesn't want to take risks, I always tell her, go big or go home. That's what I've always admired about you, Lorkris, is in the middle of combat, you always seem to embody that. You take on the biggest threat as fast as possible. That's one of the things that I love about and admire you. And so, like, you know, it's not like you to hold back, but then again, I guess you become like a different person in combat. But still, usually this, sometimes no risk, no gain, right?
Philip is so wise.
Yes.
He's taught me lots over these years.
Rylar was like, he's so smart. I wish I could have talked to him sooner.
Yeah, I mean, both Glyph of Warding and Magic Circle are only. So.
Or what? You need to talk to the mic.
They're both 3rd level spells.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll take me an hour.
Okay.
Lorkris will go find like a small rock.
Well, you said
Something.
the spell cast, the other spell casts a minute, so it'll take you an hour and a minute, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll kind of jump ahead on this. You spend the hour and a minute, and you do this. So describe to me. Do you try to do it? So there's no stones nearby. You guys do
Lorkris
have
will take out.
some coins, of course.
Yeah, I was gonna say he'll take out a copper.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't use copper in this. Just a gold piece.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Single
So you
gold
just
piece.
pull out a buck, a coin, and all right. So you cast it on the coin. Cast the other spell, the glyph. You cast the circle of circle protection.
Magic circle.
Emergent magic circle into the glyph, onto the coin. Now, are you just doing it next to the bag, or holding it above the bag, or holding it in the bag when you cast the spell?
So that is a good question. I think I'm gonna have the bag laid on its side, so it's literally on top of the bag.
Okay. This is
So
this is
that
the
way-
handy haversack, by the way, right? You're doing it for the handy haversack because that way you can get it in combat more quickly and easily, right?
That would require Emillynn and I to switch bag. Because I have the bag of holding, she has the hammer.
Is that okay?
That's fine.
Sure. I like my bag of holding. Lorkris is partial to his bag. It's his favorite clutch.
I mean, if you want to, use up one of your actions in combat to be digging around for what you want.
It's what I figured, because it is an object interaction, and I would have to technically throw it or drop it. I imagine it would take my entire action. I feel it's an acceptable trade-off for casting a minute-long spell in
I mean, it's going to take an action regardless. It would also take up your move. Basically, you wouldn't be able to move. You would, you basically take the entire time of your turn to dig in there and find what you need. Whereas if it's in the handy haversack, you can call it up immediately, and you still are going to have to activate it as your action, but you'll still be able to move and do bonus actions. Whereas digging around the bag of holding is going to take enough time that it'll eat up your action and your bonus actions and your move.
That's fine with me.
I mean, it's whatever you guys decide. I'm not trying to pressure you and do it. I'm just letting you know what the limits
Lorkris has
are.
not given up his bag of holding. He's had it from the beginning. That's just he's comfy with it. And we haven't had to deal with it in combat yet, so he doesn't really know how detrimental that could be.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so you're gonna have the bag of holding on its side, so it's not open.
Well, if I drop it in, it goes all the way in, right? Because
If
it
you
is a
drop
large
it in,
extra-dimensional
yeah.
space. So I mean, in terms of like, what you would do. I mean, I guess the most appropriate thing would either be to set up a like, I don't know, like a not a stand, but almost like a platform that is that's suspending the coin above the haversack. So cast it, pick up the bag, and everything goes in, so the item doesn't move from where it's at. But as I understood it when we originally talked, as long as we're in the same space and I don't actually like any space, that I was able to just place it in the context of our discussion.
Well, I'm sorry if that's what I led you to believe, but the way I viewed it was that you need to have the bag open and be doing it at the very least above it, if not in it.
Gotcha. I mean, Lorkris is gonna try whatever. I mean, I guess he would just hold the coin above it and cast for an hour.
All right. How many of both of those spells do you have, out of curiosity?
How many of both of them? Well, since they're a third
More than
level
one
spell,
of both?
What's that?
If it fails, do you have more than one of both?
Oh, yeah, I have 4 fourth level spell slots. 2.
I'll just tell you that what happens is you have the bag of holding sitting there, it's open. You cast the spells on the coin above the bag of holding. You put it in the bag of holding. You then move and 10 feet, and you go, and you more than 10 feet, 15 feet, and you reach in the bag of holding to find it again, and you find that the spell has fizzled off of it.
Probably have to do it in the bag, don't I, Emillynn?
Yes,
You think?
I think. Let's try it.
Okay, so just gonna somber back over. Is like, damn.
Yep. All right. So this time you do it with your hands kind of partially in the bag of holding, so that you're basically touching that interdimensional space. Yes, Fern.
Fern's building like a dirt castle now. She's trying
She's
to build
trying.
a little.
Oh, is she going to use any of her magic to create mud? Because it's super dry. It's not wet dirt.
Oh yeah, she's using her magic. She's trying to build a ziggurat.
Okay. All right.
Just totally not even caring about what they're.
All right. So
She cares, but you know.
to jump ahead to it, this experiment succeeds. And Rylar's like, ooh, do me now.
Food ready first. It takes quite a bit of time.
All right.
2 hours of waiting.
Yeah. Yep. So you guys spend a ton of time. Now, luckily, it takes an hour to do the Glyph of Warding spell, right?
Yeah.
And it takes an hour for him to do his spell. He can be doing it at the same time, such that it, you offset it by like a minute, so that he finishes right after you have the Glyph of Warding, and it's ready to have something stored into it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it shockingly works. You're able to store his spell into your Glyph of Warding, and he.
That was his spell was a 5th level.
Yep. I mean, he would have asked you to obviously let you know that his spell is 5th level. So.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure I'm working it off, so that way, if there happens to be some type of combat, I have no spell slots.
Yeah. So you will have lost what, a 5th in 3/3?
I've lost 5 spell slots.
You got 5?
Yeah, I've lost all 3 of my 3rd levels because we talked to the dead lady this morning.
Right.
2 of my 4th levels and 1 of my 5th. So I've lost 6 total today.
Okay.
Worth it.
I used one
So
first level and one 8th level.
She's playing in the dirt.
you have this, out of character, we decided that there was a limit of 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You have this innate sense after you cast it. So for the viewers in the audience, we decided that this idea we had was clever enough that I wanted to run with it, but that it could be really OP if you spent an inordinate amount of time making a crap ton of these grenades. You would be the most powerful sorcerer on the planet. So we decided that when you do this, when you store multiple spells in these mobile glyphs of warding, that it creates sort of an arcane disturbance in such a way that there's a limit to it. And so
It's almost like a subconscious like concentration.
yeah,
Like it eats up a lot of bandwidth.
yeah, a lot of unconscious magical bandwidth, exactly. And so ultimately you
We
can
don't
only
need
get
your
two at a time. So what?
Mentioning bandwidth, don't forget to go check out our podcast on YouTube. Bandwidth Banter.
Okay. So
Do we have a bandwidth and banter command?
we should probably make one of those, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that Banana Tom is constantly
Write that down.
shouting it out for us.
Write that down.
Yep, she's writing it down. All right.
No, she's not. She's
So-
just
Yeah,
staring
need to
at her.
create
You
one.
currently have 2 grenades
So-
that aren't explodey grenades, but they will basically cast a 1-minute spell and a 1-hour spell at instant speed.
So for context or bookkeeping, the magic circle that I have, once it's placed down, the circle lasts for 2 hours since I was successful getting it up on a 4th level spell. So it adds an extra hour to the duration.
Makes
for
sense.
magic
Makes
circle.
sense. Rylar would have asked that you, as an experiment, that you try his with the Hewer's Handy Haversack instead. And
Okay.
he would actually ask Miss Ray if she's willing to let him carry the Hewer's Handy Haversack.
Yes.
That way he can use his grenade if it works.
And then I guess, Lorkris should be like, okay, so to ensure that this works, when you take it out, don't throw it anywhere other than down.
At my feet.
On the
Is that
ground.
okay? So I gotta basically just throw it at my feet, and it'll
Pretty
go
much.
off.
Yeah, or at least no more than 5 feet away from you. I think that's probably like the best, like no more than 5 feet. Give yourself a buffer. Doesn't need to be at your feet.
Okay.
Don't go too far.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. I'm just gonna hope this works. That'd be 2 gold down. I'm gonna mark that off because that is important.
Oh, it's not that big of a deal. You guys are you guys are basically like
That's
like
We are so rich.
that is definitively the meta joke. Oh, it's important. I don't have 2 gold to spend. Technically, I can pick it back up because it doesn't destroy the object. These items aren't destructive in that sense,
right. That's true.
but they're not. Yeah. Okay. I will add that to my inventory. Other than that, I am pretty good in terms of having that conversation and figuring that out. So Emillynn, we'll figure out what else we can do. This you can only do so much of it, but think about it, sleep on it. I'm gonna eat some food because I'm starving.
What I was going to do while you guys were doing stuff.
Oh, you didn't even...
We limited it to 2 or 3. I'm trying to remember our conversation. It was 2?
It was for every ability score increase, and I've only had 2.
Okay. So if you have another ability score increase, then we can get a 3rd.
Right? I think I've only had 2.
When
I
will
might
your
actually
next ability
specifically
score
have
increase
3.
happen?
I think I might have 3 actually. But yeah, it was based off of the ability score improvement. Actually, unless we were tying that specifically to the cleric class because it's a cleric spell, not all of them.
No, since it wouldn't be tied just to the cleric class, even though the glyph of warding is a cleric spell.
Yeah.
But paladin is close enough to a cleric as well. They're both the same kind of divine energy.
Okay.
So
then I would have 3.
Right.
Then I
And
have 3,
16th level you'll have 4, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then that means so Rylar gets to keep his. You have your circle of protection, or circle magic circle. And then you and Ray and Fern, if you guys can come up with another clever spell to put in one of these.
Highest is 6th level.
Correct.
That's the highest I can cast glyph at.
So,
but aside from that, we can move on.
So Miss Rylar asked Miss Ray, he's like, so when was it? Tomorrow morning I'll be able to do the thing. But we were where are we gonna? What was our plan?
Got to figure out how to get through the deep woods.
No, I know that, but I'm like, where are we? You said that you wanted me to do my ritual again. Are we going to try and do it here? Are we going to try and leave the barrier first? And also, where are we going if we're going to go through the deep wood? Are we gonna? I mean, I understand that we're trying to protect the Misty City, but I sure miss the garden, and I miss Jocko, and I miss all of our friends, and I miss the people at the inn, and the tavern. I'm hungry.
I think we should go back, and then come back. We can travel a great distance quickly thanks to this one over here.
Yeah, but you got to remember, it has to have a face on it.
Well, but that's not a problem, right? We just need to find a healthy tree. She can make a face.
We just need to get through the deep wood.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, we can travel back.
Oh, so that's why you're saying.
And then back again, and then walk through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, we got to find healthy trees.
Okay.
So, deep woods first.
Yep.
Then we can try and make our way back, depending on what's on the other side of the deep wood. And if that light doesn't compel us to, head towards the light.
Why don't we just cross the deep wood back home first, before crossing back through and looking for other things?
So go down towards, so we go into the deep wood and then we go south?
Yeah.
So you want to head towards the tower?
Yeah. We head home,
Well,
let them know what we're doing.
There's already a tree with a face there, too.
There is.
Yeah. There's two. There's one inside of where the tower, and then there's one outside of the tower, because everybody was afraid of...
It's like a mile away or something.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because everybody was like, how weird to do that in front of everyone, and I was like, I guess so.
And then we can come back and then investigate more.
But Rylar says, that does seem smart, but then also, I think about it. And I'm like, wait a minute, is there another, I'm not smart, so is there another smart thing we could do? And Philip says, well, I don't know about you guys, but I think, if you go all the way through the deep wood, based upon the map, there should be some healthy trees on the other side of the deep wood. And that way, when you're ready, kill that. What are you waiting for?
Waiting for it to land.
Sorry, we got a skeeter. Yeah.
Skeeter.
Yeah.
Reminds me of Duck Bunny.
He says, that way, when you're ready to go back, you can just teleport, tree transport straight through to the other side.
That is fair.
We're gonna do that. That sounds very smart.
See, I told you that I got good advice.
You don't have to tell me twice. I already knew.
I like her. She's snarky like me.
I guess.
You can't try to sass me too much.
I'll just sass you right.
I sass back.
You'll Thath me back, and I'll Thath you back, and we'll have a Thath war, and that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Rylar's over here giggling.
Okay. So we're gonna go to bed and then wake up and then go cross the deep woods and find the healthy tree and then try to go back.
Yes.
We should just teleport right into the garden.
If
Rylar's
we go back, yeah. I would also like to.
We don't want to stay long, right? Because we want to protect him from the triumvirate peoples.
I also kind of think we should make it back to Jericho's Grove. The secret grove.
Yeah.
Because this, and Lorkris pulls out the Crane Flicked Holy Water, was way more effective than I expected.
Oh, you want to make more?
I do. I think you guys would benefit from having some. Unless we find another one out here. Everything else has been corrupt lately, so.
This is true.
And I'm sure this would be a conversation that best held with Jocko and some others, but do you think if we are actually able to cross the barrier because of Fern, would it be wise to see if another party will come with us and investigate other aspects
Oh, I'm
You
sure.
cut out other aspects of what?
of the island?
Oh, I'm sure if we're able to drop the barrier around the deep woods, that's going to open up a lot more to explore that the MGA would want to. But then again, I mean, we don't know how the Triumvirate is going to react to us dropping the barrier in the deep woods.
Yeah, maybe that would be putting everybody in danger, Rylar says.
I mean, everybody on this island knows that it's dangerous.
Should probably just fly over the deep wood.
Well, Rylar's like, I thought you can't get past the barrier, though.
Yeah.
I didn't say past the barrier, fly to the west to Healthy Tree.
Oh.
So we don't drop the barrier and give the Triumvirate an easy funnel.
Wait,
I don't understand what you're saying.
yeah, I'm
Like,
confused
Okay.
too.
We drop the barrier on the deep wood. People can now pass freely back and forth.
When you say barrier, you mean drop the deep wood itself.
Yeah. Why would we do that? That would give the Triumvirate an easy avenue to just flood the southern half of the island.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah.
So if we fly to the west over the deep woods to a Healthy Tree, so the deep woods stay intact for longer.
Oh, I understand what you're saying. You're saying that tomorrow morning, instead of us traveling through the deep wood with the nodule, we just bypass it.
Yes. And if we want to get a large force through, if the nodule can do it, then we could just nullify the deep wood and then we start marching on. Or something, I don't know.
I have
don't do well
a
with
weird
marching.
question. So,
Yes.
Rylar's like, the barrier stops people from getting into this part of the island over the mountains, right?
Yes.
But it also stopped people from going over the deep wood, which is a lot shorter than the mountains. Are we even sure that we can get through the barrier through the. If there's like, just pretend that the deep woods weren't even there. Wouldn't the barrier still be there?
Well, we won't know until we try.
So is that something we should experiment with before we fly over the deep wood?
Fern, can you cast your animal spell again?
No, not today, but tomorrow. And I could only cast it once.
So you're saying that the same type of barrier that prevents us from going like across the mountain extends over the top of the deep wood vertically as well?
Possible, we don't know.
Yeah, where I was like, so yeah, Philip says, so I think I understand what Rylar's thinking is that the deep wood was created by the Gloam elves to be a barrier between them and the Gargantuans on the east, right?
Yeah.
But the barrier is its own thing and keeps people from coming from the south part of the island to the north part of the island. So even if the deep wood is gone, even if you're walking on the land, like they couldn't get expeditions through the mountains. So I bet you the barrier would still be intact and not be traversable, even if the gloom or the deep wood is gone. That's just what I suspect.
That is fair, but we have a way across regardless, don't we? Not that.
Oh, me and the trees.
Yes,
Okay.
there it is.
Okay. Just, I want to make sure I understand what our plan is. We're gonna go to bed. We're going to wake up. We're going to cross through the deep wood with this thingy. In hopes that we could cross it not only because, you know, the deep wood, but because maybe there's a barrier. Find a healthy tree over there.
I'm so
Teleport back to the garden. Hang out there. And teleport back eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, do you understand, Lorkris? Do you think this nodule thingy, even though we can like cross through the deep wood with it, does this also like help with the barrier? No wonder.
Philip says, well, I guess that depends on who or what made the barrier, right? I mean, there was nothing in the history of your people or of the Beholder's notes that talked about them making the barrier. He talked about the barrier.
Yeah.
But he didn't say that he made it or that the Gloam elves made it. Which means it was already there.
Mm.
And we know that the Gloam elves found a way to dig tunnels, right? So it must not go all the way down into the earth, but maybe their tunnels. I don't know about that. But we also know that the triumvirate peoples, they created those teleportation network things. They had to go underground too.
Well, we'll just figure it out tomorrow as we go.
Yep. We gotta see if the shadow elves are still there or not.
Mm-hmm. So, you want to take this opportunity to take a quick break, guys?
Yes.
Sure.
All right.
Yeah.
Snack break.
Oh, look at banana time!
Hey, BT.
With that band with the
Look at
banter.
you. He's freaking the
Again.
master. Oh my gosh. He and Dagoff always taking care of us. Got our back. He's Olayed. Aries, look at the cute kitty.
Jet.
Yeah. It's Rylar love.
Tear!
Or it's Rhea's love.
I was about to say, that's not Rylar.
I read really wrong, but Tater Lord, what up, buddy? How are you doing? It's good to see you.
We'll be back.
Yes. I'll entertain the troops while you guys are gone, and then we'll swap places. I love your new laughing emoji, by the way, Banana Tom.
It's water better.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
Mama is the best mama.
So, what's new with everybody? What's going on? Ray was here. I don't know if she's still here, but big hugs to you, Rhea. Angry Angel, hello. OG Blaze, oh my gosh, all you guys, all you wonderful peoples. Razamataz, tazzing in and with the Raz and the tazzing. And Insomnia Night, woohoo! Love those emotes, those are awesome. Okay, so don't judge me. I bought Minecraft today. I brought Minecraft to a new low, and what I can only believe to be early midlife crisis. Okay. What do you mean you brought it to a new low? Can you elaborate that? Hey, Goblins and Warlocks, what's going on? Came in at the break. Yep, you sure did. Because it's good or bad timing, depending on how you look at it. 6 days, guys, 6 days. Diablo 4, 6 days. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it. Oh, buying the game was a new low in your early midlife crisis. Okay. I mean, I've never tried it. I've never had any desire or interest in trying it. But Hey, old man, what's up? It's good to see you. Welcome. We're on our break at the moment. Yep, little break time. It's okay. It won't be long. We're gonna, take our bio break, stretch, hydrate, snackinate, all that kind of, all the eights, the 8 track. Wow. That humming made me dizzy. Saw your new emote came through today. Congrats! You want to show it off? Show it off, OG Blaze.
Emote? Ooh.
Oh, that's fire!
An animated emote.
My turn now.
Nice. A white background for what? What do we need a white background for, BT? Eyes confused. What are you talking about, Crom Tom? Oh, okay. Gotcha. You're talking about in his emote, BT? Is everything okay, Goblins and Warlocks? One more day? What? Or you have a day off? Or something else? Oh, okay. Yeah, and it's a long weekend too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is Memorial Day on Monday. Anybody have any fun plans for the long weekend? Oh, I see a druid. A wild druid has appeared. Ooh, what kind of meats are you smoking, Spud? Oh, wow.
Wow. Super cool, BT.
OG Blaze.
At least you're honest, OG Blaze.
Oh, you're snacking on yogurt, huh? Is that
Nope, yogurt.
He's over from Australia. Heck yeah.
Ooh, that sounds really, really good there, Spud. Oh, BT, your dad's visiting from Australia?
Oh, that's cool, man. I want to hear all about it. Later on, when you got time, I want to hear all about it.
You again.
Have you been to Australia, BT?
Oh, pizza's here.
If you scroll up in chat, OG Blaze has a new emote that just got approved.
Oh yeah, the fire emote. Because he is the Lord of Blazes. Oh, I got it.
Heck yeah.
Because he is the Lord of Blazes. He needs to have a fire emote. It's perfect. That's a long haul. From the UK to Australia, that's a flight right there.
Closest I've been to Australia is New Zealand.
It's pretty close.
Never been. It's real jet lag.
Even the US to New Zealand was rough jet lag. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I mean it's basically from where we flew to New Zealand is roughly the same distance from UK to Australia. Sort of. Let me think for a second.
Well, our flight was 13 hours one way.
Yeah. It was brutal.
That's how far it was from here to Peru, was 13 hours.
Oh wow.
But it took longer because we had layover stuff.
Right, yeah, us too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
22 hours
because
if you
we
don't
left
stop.
LAX at night, and we arrived in New Zealand in the morning, and I did not sleep on the flight at all. Stormy was like, "You need to stay awake. You need to stay awake. I'm so tired." Yeah. That was a very interesting 2 days.
Yeah, because we lose a whole, I mean, it's 13 hours, 13, 14 hours, but you also lose a day.
Yep.
Although you gain a day coming back.
Yeah, we lost a day going over there because we left Wednesday night and arrived in New Zealand Friday morning. International Dateline. Gotta love it.
It hurts my brain. I know you can easily track it, but it hurts my brain.
If I'm taking a guess, you don't want pizza.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys got your pizza?
She did.
Oh, you're not having any? Oh, that's right, because you already ate. What'd you have again?
Mac and cheese and a
Oh, that's
smoothie.
right, you said it. Are you okay?
Yeah, it's not sitting the best. But
If we need to wrap early for the night for your tummy, it's okay, buddy.
I'm good.
All right. I don't want you to feel bad or anything. If you need to go, health is more important.
No,
Yes.
I'll be alright. I'll be alright.
All right.
Don't make me use my Emillynn voice.
Hey. No thank you. I don't want to feel like I'm in trouble.
You don't want to feel like a what?
He's in trouble.
Yeah, like I'm in trouble. Happens to me all the time when like I'm around parents and they're scolding their children. I'm like, I'm so sorry for what I didn't do.
Or if I get fiery about something, same thing.
Yeah, gives me anxiety.
Well, we don't want you to have anxiety while you're not
No,
feeling good.
I know.
All right. Well, guys,
Mom,
thank you for letting us take a short break. We appreciate you. We're going to jump back in the action. Stick around. New revelations to be revealed, potentially. Chat dark. We'll see you guys at the end. Enjoy the show. All right. So
I guess we'll rest.
yeah, so interestingly enough, since you bypassed the creepy wood, the creepy corrupted forest between the ziggurat and the deep wood, if you had gone on foot through there would, during your, there would be a chance for random encounters. But where you're at now, there's almost no chance. So your camping that night is uneventful and restful.
Fern is literally sleeping with her backpack. Like she's like cradling it and like sleeping and just like.
Oh, she's sleeping instead of meditating?
Oh, she's not really sleeping. She's meditating, but she's like snuggling the backpack and she's like meditating and like sending
Choking.
into focusing on like happy thoughts for Chonkapillar.
Constant wiggles all the time.
Well, the other thing you would probably notice there, Fern, is, during your watch, since you're by yourself for 2 hours, you actually have Philip to talk to.
By myself for 2 hours?
Yep.
He hovers above you. You notice something interesting that she would never have experienced while she's sleeping. He hovers right above her, and sometimes he'll just plop himself right on her chest like a cat. and he's just happy to have a conversation with you. You know, of course he comes, you know, off of her chest and gets close to you, you know, closer to you, so that it so he doesn't, you know, your conversation doesn't wake her up, but you guys just kind of quiet
He can
talk.
move about 15 feet away from me before he feels the pull.
10 feet.
Oh, 10 feet.
Yeah, anything beyond 10 feet.
Philip?
Yeah, what's up?
What's your favorite color?
All of them?
Yeah. Oh, I have so many questions to ask you.
Well, your watch is only how many hours?
2?
2. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. I'll get you 2 questions, 1 per hour, and then that way we'll make it more interesting on you know, on your watch and stuff. So that way you can have more questions later on.
Okay. Philip's favorite. Okay. Question. I have to make a whole new section now of questions to ask Philip on my watch.
You're welcome, Fern.
The way she said that, she's just like, well, I'm gonna be bothered by having to do this now. Got this whole new project. Thank you.
No, because I started flipping through the pages, like I have to find the spot now.
I know. I'm
that's
playing.
what's
I'm
the
playing.
Frustration.
I think it's hilarious.
I'm sure Philip is now happy to have somebody to talk to while I'm sleeping.
Maybe. She noticed when you went to sleep and she came up on her watch that he just happily sitting on your chest. Frequently, his eyes would turn to you, and you could tell he had a happy look on his face, like he was listening to her breathing. You like, you definitely get this sense that she wouldn't necessarily experience and realizes that Philip is super attached to her, like crazy bonded to her.
You might even see me like hug him as I'm moving.
Oh yeah, occasionally in the inner sleep she'll accidentally grab him and hug him and curl over, and he's all like, his eyes go wide for a second, and then he just enjoys the snuggles.
Little eyeballs are like trying to like poke out.
Yep. All right. So, what are your questions?
Okay. What is your favorite spell that I cast?
Definitely that one that makes everybody turn upside down. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. I like that one too.
Just be careful not to catch yourself in that one. That would be uncool.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I can find ways to get out of it.
Well, yeah, you can just turn into a bird.
But that uses a spell. Everybody always talks to me about this like wild shape stuff that druids are supposed to do.
Well, yeah, that's what the druids are supposed to do, I suppose.
But every time I like focus on that kind of whatever, and that's when like all of the spores pop out and I become extra strong and stuff.
Huh.
So I don't know how I'm supposed to use that to be able to turn into an animal.
Well, it seems like you got some work to do still.
You know. Okay, that was 2 questions. Now I'm sad.
What Well, that was only one question, wasn't it? What was the second?
Well, I asked you what your favorite color was, and you said all of them.
Oh, well, yeah, no, but that was a freebie because you asked that first. You can get me one more. You can get me one more.
Okay. Do you think it's creepy that Lorkris can talk to the dead?
No, I think that's one of the cool things about him. He's kind of a badass, you know?
Yeah. I have another question though.
You do?
I do. One more.
All right, you get a cheat question, and then I got to go. I gotta go.
Then you have to go. I get it.
Yeah.
How did it feel to see that really big beholder and have us have to fight it and stuff? Have you ever seen another beholder?
Nope. Never seen one before. That was two questions technically, but that's all right. They're sort of related. So, how'd it feel, huh? I don't know. It was definitely freaky. He looked like a bigger, meaner version of me, sort of. Of course, he was a different color. He was more of a kind of a dark bluish color, kind of a gray, blue-gray, dark gray color with blue. Like he was definitely an arsehole, though.
Yeah.
And he was very mean and weird based upon those readings. And I don't know. I have this sense that there was something wrong about him.
You know, we would have made sure, like, if Rylar in his super weird form, we would have made sure that he wouldn't have hurt you, right?
Well, that's good to know. But I would hope you wouldn't hurt Rylar, because I really like
Rylar. I wouldn't hurt
Rylar.
Rylar either. I'm pretty sure we would have just, like, force caged him, or I would have, like, locked him in a box or something, because I probably would have, like, used, like, my stone wall and, like, put him in there or something. I don't know. But we wouldn't have let anything happen to you, okay?
Well, thank you for saying so. I think that's pretty cool.
Okay, you can go snuggle Miss Ray now.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Okay, bye-bye now.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye-bye now. He flops on your chest. All right. So, the morning comes, and Rylar's like, so did you guys want me to do the ritual now, or wait until we got outside the barrier?
I think we should wait till we pass through the deep wood.
So, if I understand correctly, you okay over there, Lorkris?
Yep.
Okay. So, if I understand correctly, our plan first is to kind of make our way partially through the deep wood, kind of to the edge, to see if the deep wood and the barrier are like two different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we're gonna come back out of the deep wood and fly over it.
My understanding was we go through the deep wood, check the barrier, and then continue through the deep wood to the other side to find a tree that we can teleport. Right?
Sounds better. That sounds like...
Wait, what did you say?
Oh, go through the deep wood, try and check to see if the barrier and the deep wood are the same thing, and then if the barrier is still intact, finish our way through the deep wood. To get to the other side and find a healthy tree.
Oh, so we're just gonna keep traveling through the deep wood.
Yes.
Okay.
Might as well.
Sorry, I'm just a little distracted, worried about Fate over there. You okay?
No, but I was changing my spell list.
Oh.
And I don't know what I'm taking next.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good.
The joys of preparing spells for the day.
Right, I don't really... Yeah, I'm trying to be... but I'm listening.
That was me, like, every time I'm like, okay, cleric spells are prepped. All right, I still got wizard. Darn.
You know, back in the day, you can ask her. There with our 3.5 campaigns, I used to make it such that clerics can spontaneously cast any spell that a cleric could know. Basically, and it didn't end up being that broken. The concept was they still only have a certain number that they can cast in a day, right?
Yeah.
And that it's a silly kind of dance for a cleric to somehow know ahead of time what spells he should take, right? Whereas the idea of a cleric is that they're asking their god for the help that they need when they need it. And so that's why I came up with the idea that, you know what, why can't the cleric just spontaneously cast all the spells that they know, which would be basically all the spells that they can cast up to a certain level, right? Whatever amount that is. They just pick a spell and cast it.
Just limited by their spell slots.
Yeah. They're only limited by their spell slots, right? And what level spell they can cast.
Yeah.
And it didn't break the game. We were completely surprised. Like, it wasn't OP. It didn't break the game. So, I don't know. We might think about that for the future.
Yeah, I mean, like, cleric can actually drop a prayer spell in place of a heal spell, so...
Yeah, that was the other thing, yeah. I mean, basically, I just did...
Done it.
Yeah. What?
It's what I do. I've been actively taking some healing stuff.
Ah.
Oh, I know.
Right on.
Because,
Cool.
you know, my healer goes down.
All right.
She's cocky.
Is that just plain cheese pizza?
Yes.
With sriracha sauce on top.
Oh, interesting. So what did you... I thought you had dinner with him earlier.
Hungry.
Oh, it wasn't dinner. It was lunch, though,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a late lunch, yeah.
Yeah, so this is actually dinner, huh? Okay, good for
It
you.
was like, you do realize you're 2 hours behind us, right?
Yeah, no, I just thought about that, realized it, yeah. I'm surprised he's not... Oh, that's right. He said his mac and cheese didn't sit well with him, so yeah, he'll be all right.
It's a lot of food.
Yep. It's also... If it was also maybe a lot of cheese, too. I don't know. I know.
It's a lot of dairy.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. Ugh, not anymore. Yeah. All right, so... You make your way... I mean, tell me what you guys do. It's morning, you get up and around, you came to the conclusion that you're gonna travel basically through the deep wood south to see what you can figure. Well, first you want to experiment with the deep wood and then travel south.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
To see...
Or travel east.
West.
What? No.
East, yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so I thought the
East,
plan was
whatever.
to travel
We're going west.
south first to test the barrier
Yes.
and then travel east.
Yes.
Right.
I smashed my finger the other day.
Oh, don't
Now
do
my
that.
fingernail's growing out, so now that's...
That's gross.
Yeah.
Sorry, she smashed her finger, and I'm like, what happened?
Poor thing.
She probably deserved it.
She's abusing herself at work.
I smashed my finger in the refrigerator door.
At work or at home?
At work.
No. Ouch. So,
Poor you.
Metal stuck between 2 metal pieces. It was not fun.
all right. So,
Okay.
back to... so you guys make your way to the edge of the deep wood where you're at, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you get within 100 feet, the moment before when Fern would start to feel really yucky, right?
Yep.
It feels off, but it doesn't feel nearly as bad as it did before. And as you get closer and closer to it, you do see the movement of shadowy elves within. the twisted vines and roots. But they look a bit different. Instead of being all concentrated, they look aimless. And as you peer at it closer, you move a bit closer and you can actually see them kind of milling about. They look listless. They can, before they seemed very angry, and now they just seem like they're fading. What do you do next?
We keep walking towards it.
I mean, you're up in front of it now.
Can I reach out and touch it?
Well, first of
So
all, what
before
are
she
you
does that-
doing with the nodule? Or is it in your hand? Is it in your pocket? What are you doing with it?
It's right here.
Okay.
I'm gonna hold on to her, like the first time when we walked up to the deep wood, to try to, I don't know, maybe try to pull her back if something nasty happens like last time. So I'm just ready. You ready?
All right, so you go to touch it. The first thing you note
I'm just kidding.
is that the and you all can kind of see this as you get closer to it. It doesn't seem as you kind of realized before that there was almost a slight animation to it, if that makes sense. Before it seemed like it wasn't that it was moving. It was almost as if you could see the movement, you could unconsciously see the movement of particles within it, of what it's made of before, right? And you don't see that now. It just looks like dead, petrified wood. And if I refresh my memory, what happened when you guys touched it before?
I had to make a Constitution saving throw.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't like me either.
Right. Like, wait, it was different for each of you, for both of you, though, I believe, right?
When I put my hand on there, if I kept my hand there, and then it would slowly start to push in, but it took my life.
Right, it was drawing your life out, and then the elves came and tried to grab you, right?
Yeah.
And
then they fled from me.
They fled from you, and then when you got close to it to touch it, huh?
When I touched it, it hurt me.
It hurt you, right? But it was like a necrotically damaged, like burned you. So it was a bit different for each of you. Well, now it's completely different. She reaches out and touches it, and at first she just feels the cold. It doesn't even remember how it used to feel super hard. It still feels hard, but it doesn't feel like stone now. It feels like petrified wood. And it's cold and dead. And the Shadow Elves, they don't reach out to draw you in and are saying, join us like they did before. Now they just kind of, you're not even sure that it's not just a trick of the light. I mean, it seems like shadows moving in and around. It's almost like the shadows of the trees are moving. Sometimes they look like people and sometimes they don't. And they're just, they just are milling about as if lost. And you get this, you guys had studied his journal, and you believe from studying the journal that the nodule device can be used, with the right kind of command, to basically cause the deep wood to kind of part, like you would be like parting the sea, but instead it's parting these trees. But Yeah, she would have to do something actively. Before she does that, though, did you want to experiment by touching it? She tells you that it didn't hurt her. She doesn't have any reaction.
That's fine.
You touch it.
Place my hand.
Same thing. It just feels cold to the touch. As you get closer, though, the shadows kind of dart away.
Well, that's interesting.
Is everybody okay?
For now.
Everything seemed fine to me.
So, Fern, how do we get through?
I
So,
didn't think I
Emma,
have to
how did
do
we get through?
something.
So, yeah, she gets the sense that she might have to attune to the nodule to understand its how it can operate to be able to use it.
Well, I guess I have to attune to this thing.
So, out of curiosity, what are you currently attuned to?
Stuff.
I forgot, did we have a house rule that I did away with the whole limit, or did I just set the limit higher? I don't remember.
I don't remember
I
either.
thought you just went away with the whole limit.
That's what I thought too. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was dumb.
Yeah, because I'm attuned to 3 things right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for the 5e ruling, there's 3 attunements, but I've just been auto-applying, like manually overriding things that would require attunement if that need be.
I thought so. Yeah. I mean, it's okay. It's an interesting mechanic. I don't know why they included it. There's a lot of DMs who don't like it, so they ditch it too. So. To me, it adds complexity and limitation where there doesn't need to be. It doesn't solve a problem. It doesn't make the game more fun. It makes it less fun.
So I'm gonna try to figure this thing out, and I'm gonna meditate with it for an hour, okay, guys?
All right. So how long does it normally take to attune something? I think an hour? Oh yeah, she just said, yeah. All right, so go ahead and you meditate for an hour, and you get the sense, once you've attuned to this thing, that it is definitely some sort of, you're honestly surprised that you didn't have the same kind of awful reaction to it as you have a lot of the things previously, because this thing is literally like the source of all of that awfulness. But you get the sense that it's more kind of mechanical's not the right word, but it just doesn't have the same effect on you, whether that's because you've changed and grown, or whether it's just it as a tool is just neutral, kind of magically neutral, designed to do what it does. And it was part of what it did was give that avatar, that elven avatar, that divine power, right? It gave her immortal divinity and the power to transform the land in those dark, corrupted ways, and the power to transform the elves into the shadow warriors, and but it doesn't really do that now that it's not like it was designed to be in her. And now the only reason why it can do anything at all is simply because it's the kind of the essence of how this all started, sort of a bioarcane device. So anywho, you figure out that sure enough, if you want to, you can simply, as if this giant bramblewall forest is a massive entangle spell. You can basically, it's almost as if you drop concentration on an entangle spell, but in certain sections as you go. And it just requires you to focus and do it and concentrate on it. And so real quick, briefly, we'll go back to the full map just so folks can see. So what you guys have done is you've come basically to the bottom edge of the deep wood where it matches up to the mountains, right? Mm-hmm. And it's still gonna be like a 50-mile trek through the deep wood as you basically part the giant entangled petrified forest, right? You just part it as you go. And you don't even have to, it's not like it's hard, you have to concentrate or focus. You just have to kind of think that's what you want to do as you travel. And it just kind of parts and it crumbles aside, not crumbles, but it like crinkles aside and cracks and moans and groans and just kind of opens a hole. And before your question, just a second, it doesn't close behind you. Maybe that was your question, I don't know. It wherever you open it up, it's like you're creating a tunnel through the deep woods. And even because of the amount of space around you and the height of the trees, it's literally like a tunnel. But you also get the sense that when you create this tunnel, it's slowly decaying above, so that eventually it's like you're starting a process, right, of it deteriorating. And I mean, it was already, you get the sense that it already had lost pretty much all of its power, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, now it's you're just parting it aside, and eventually it's going to crumble on its own. And you using this nodule can accelerate the process in certain areas. You know, if you wanted to spend a lot of time doing it, you could actually just kind of mow this thing, as it were. But at any rate, it's going to take you a day, since it's 50 miles, it's going to take you a day of travel to get to the edge, where the edge of the deep wood would meet up with what you suspect to be the edge of the barrier. But you guys skirt that edge along the mountains next to the cliff side wall and the bramblewood, parting it as you go. And it's kind of creepy because it's super dark in here, right? And once you've gone in deep, there's no sunlight anymore. And you all can see in the dark, but you would still bring up a light source of some kind.
I'd cast light.
Right. And
as we go.
Just on your glaive or something. And so you guys are making your way through this creepy, dark vine root tree forest, petrified forest, parting it as you go, creating a tunnel as you go.
Do we keep seeing more shadow elves and stuff?
They at this point now, you see them just kind of, they briefly will kind of flitter towards you, kind of move, undulate near you, like they're checking you out. And then they'll have this kind of mixture of shock, awe, and relief on their shadowy, spectral faces. And then they'll kind of evaporate back into the forest. What are the perceptions of everybody again?
My passive perception
Yeah.
is 21.
Okay.
My passive's 21.
Damn.
Lorkris doesn't see shit.
Yeah, so,
You want to switch scenes to the 4 panel?
yeah. Rylar and Fern and Miss Ray all think you hear tracking and strange kind of groaning sounds deep far to the northeast for a brief moment. But you kind of shake it off. It just kind of vanishes a little bit, and you're not sure if it was just the forest itself reacting to this tunnel you're creating through it or not. And you make your way all the way to the edge after a whole day of travel. The sun is going down over the horizon. Well, you wouldn't see that because you're inside the deep wood. It's been dark the whole time. Kind of nerve-wracking walking through this creepy dark forest as if it were nighttime, even though you know it's not. But you all have excellent, especially with Fern, sense of direction and where you're at. So you don't get lost, and you know pretty much instinctively how far you've traveled. I mean, I can make you roll. What is your survival check again?
I have a plus 11 to my survival.
Yeah, go ahead and roll it just in case.
25.
Yeah, you easily make your way to your destination. And as you're traveling and opening up this hole underneath it, and then remembering when you were flying a little bit, you never flew directly above the deep wood, but you flew close to it, right, when you landed. And so you would have seen it from above. And it's now starting to dawn on you. You realize and remember that the canopy of the deep wood at its height, at its top, was like one giant solid kind of mass, all interconnected with no gaps, almost like, you know, ground, and you know, almost like the ground itself, right? Just literally just like a rocky
Solid mass.
Yeah, solid mass.
One
right.
solid mass.
Yeah, and you get, and now that you've made it to the edge of the deep wood, your final bit of moving the entanglement, deteriorating the deep wood, you reach this point where it opens up and you see light, you see the grassy fields in the distance.
And you go walk up towards it and you smash right into it.
Not exactly, sort of. What happens is, though, because you're using the nodule, it actually creates the tunnel about 20 feet in front of you. So it basically deteriorates, opens up parts 20 feet in front of you, and as it opens up in front of you to where it would be, you'd be able to just walk out of the deep wood. Within 10 feet of, or you would walk out of the deep wood, you feel this intense pressure, like where gravity's gotten heavy, and you have trouble moving and you have trouble breathing, and it almost feels like the air is being sucked out, and like but you can also kind of hear almost like a wind. It's just, and the closer you get to that, the more impossible it is to move beyond it. And so it's not like where you come up and there's just like a wall, but instead it just becomes more like a pressure. And I'm going to have everybody roll their best knowledge.
Insight? Stealth?
No, like nature
No,
or arcane
I'm
or,
kidding. I'm kidding.
or religion or... I guess religion, yeah. History, no.
I mean, I can roll off my Arcana. I'm gonna have a +1.
Okay.
It would make sense that I would have the least amount of like wherewithal. That I'd be like,
Yeah, a little bit.
Think.
For sure.
I think
12.
What did you roll? Nature? 12 nature? Wow.
I have a +8. I rolled a 4.
What'd you get?
It's okay, I got you guys. So I can either use Arcana or History, they're both the same. That is a 32.
Holy crap, what did you roll?
I rolled a 19.
Nice, okay. As you
Lorkris
guys
got a
are
16.
experiencing this, the first thing that comes to all your minds is, now wait a minute. This whole thing doesn't make a lot of sense at first, is what, well, for all of you, this is, you're all thinking it doesn't make sense. You end up, because of this, you get to realize something. You have an epiphany moment. But before we get to your epiphany, I'll explain what you guys all are like, wait a minute. So the barrier, this pressure barrier seems to occur regardless, like it's weird. When the trees were there, when the barrier was there, you could go up to it, right? And the shadow elves could actually interact just beyond it a little bit, right? They could reach out to you, but they couldn't go very far, right? Maybe that was something intrinsic to them, you're not sure. Intrinsic to the cursed land or the cursed elves, you're not sure. But what's really strange is, okay, so now you realize that where the trees, where the bramble wall is gone, the barrier occurs again. This same barrier that you knew from reports extended above the tree line of the deep wood and across the mountains, right? And so you're like, but now that you've moved the trees, now the barrier's farther down. How can that be? Like, how is this working? And then you think, okay, but the other guys could actually dig under it, right? They literally dug tunnels. The gloom elves had, well, not the gloom elves, but the the humanoid army from the Beholder had dug tunnels for probably years and years, and then the Triumvirate folks, they used some sort of magic to create this, this arcane network that strung itself under the ground to create these teleportation nodes. No, who knows how long those had been there, right? So obviously this barrier doesn't go underground. But you're like, that doesn't, and now it's suddenly acting differently when the woods are accessible. So that's what's got you confused. Your character with your crazy lucky roll comes up with a hypothesis, though, an epiphany moment, and that is, what if this barrier is not a barrier, but a bubble? Some kind of transcendental bubble that puts pressure down where it's at. So looking at the forest as it was before, it was like the new ground that was elevated. But as that's taken away and torn down, the pressure of that bubble fills that space all the way to the surface of the ground. So if it's a transcendental bubble, some sort of cosmic bubble or something, that's why it would behave the way it's behaving. Instead of like, I mean, it obviously the MGA and all those people, they've all thought of it as a barrier because it literally, its effect of ultimately is that it becomes a barrier, right, to getting in on the other side. But it's technically not a barrier. Just at its edges, it's like this pressure, this bubble that literally distorts reality in a certain way to be impassable, unless you can bypass it by going under it because the bubble just sits on top of the land, right? Or if you can teleport beyond it, because you basically it's almost, the teleportation is almost like a tunnel as well, bypassing it, if that makes sense. And so do you share that with them? Do you have a question that would require the role playing?
The question is this what you're saying is what Emillynn is sharing with us? That was going to be my question.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
No, I don't have to repeat it.
So, if this bubble, if this is a bubble, that might be what Goo is afraid of popping. So I would assume we would have to talk to Goo on the other side of this.
On the inside of the bubble?
On the outside of the bubble.
Oh, the outside of the bubble, yeah.
So we want to get to the southern side of the island. More importantly, however, you think this stops at what would be considered the ground level?
I mean, based on all of our readings and what we've figured out so far, I mean, people have been able to dig underneath it.
Philip says, yeah, but didn't they say that some people tried going underneath the deep wood?
Well, the deep wood itself has deep roots.
Oh, yeah.
Made it impenetrable, not to the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
Fern,
Yeah?
can you make a door?
What do you mean?
Raise the dirt level so the barrier stops at the level of the ground, and then we tunnel through that.
I could do that tomorrow. I could prepare a spell.
Why are we always doing things like this?
It's because we have to prepare spells out of character.
I actually hovered over that spell.
What was the spell?
Yeah, and you know what's funny is that I can do the melt through stone, so I can phase through that.
Yeah, and the spell that he's referring to is so I could literally just raise the level of the ground up.
And then tunnel through that, because that's technically solid ground. I don't know if that would work. Do we want to wait until tomorrow to find out?
Philip says, well, if it does work, that means that you guys are all like 10 billion times smarter than the whole MGA combined, that they didn't think to try something like that.
Well, I will say, Philip, thank you.
Yeah.
Second, they had no way to get through the deep wood until now.
Oh, well, that makes sense. That's true.
But taking a page out of Fern's book, we are smarter.
We are just so cool and so smart and stuff.
For the first time, Lorkris mimics Fern's speech pattern, and it's just the most grotesque thing ever. This bland.
Try it. Try to do it.
I did. You were
Like as soon as Lorkris says that, Emillynn just kind of like. What did I just witness?
We are smarter.
When I just witness again.
Rylar's like, do it again.
Look, Chris, I would have thought you were actually funny.
There's just nothing there.
So Rylar, you can commune with your god of once a day.
Yeah.
Maybe you should.
Well, but it's once every 24 hours, not once a rest.
Okay. Well.
You want to wait until you do it after? Or do we want to go back and... I mean, do we want to, like, camp? I guess this is safe. We can just camp right here.
Yeah.
Although there was that creepy sound. We don't want to travel a whole day back through to where we were at, though, do we?
Yeah, we don't.
At least we know our back's safe. As long as we keep that opening to our back, nothing will come from that direction. We have a clear line of sight that way. Look, I just point to the tunnel that we created. So we really only have to be wary of this space, which is not very traversable.
I do have... No. Never mind.
Yeah.
Add a character. Does the Staff of the Woodlands have anything? Because I remember the Staff of the Woodlands has a few different things that you almost never use on it, doesn't it?
The highest level thing was Wall of Thorns, which I waited until I was able to cast that level spells before I started using it.
And technically, if you were to plant it in the ground to create the tree itself wouldn't create a top anymore, so we wouldn't be able to walk through that.
Yeah.
And then pick it up and drop it.
No.
I think that's too, yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't have anything ready to go. Oh, I do have Wall of Stone.
And stack walls.
Or like make a little dome thing. Or we could just create a wall of stone with a little hole to watch in case so nothing sneaks up on us while we're sleeping.
How long does the wall last?
Well, as long as I concentrate on it for the whole 10 minutes, then it becomes a permanent stone wall. So if we're worried about anything sneaking up on us, we can at least have like a little to protect us. We'll just have a little door so we can like sneak out in the morning.
During this, when you say little door, are you guys talking about trying to make your way through the barrier with this trick?
No. She's talking about basically making a physical dome to protect us while we sleep. And I'm over here thinking, why haven't you thought of that before?
I just thought of it now.
But yeah, I mean, it's worth a try to create a false ground that we could then tunnel through without having to go down. Just walk through and then you drop it.
Well, if I concentrate on it for 10 minutes, then it becomes a solid. So we could try to make a door, but...
And leave it there for other people to come through.
That's...
So we drop.
Do you guys want to try it?
So out of character, are you discussing trying to make a door out of the bubble?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess now.
So
what do you think, Miss Ray? Does that sound
guys see,
stupid?
While you're having this discussion, Rylar's face suddenly goes very pale. And he looks very unhappy and uncomfortable.
What?
Rylar, what's wrong?
I don't know. I don't feel so good. I don't think this is a good idea.
What do you mean?
I don't know.
Like, not a good idea to try to cross the barrier or to stay here for the night?
No, I'm okay with staying here, but this idea to cross the barrier like this, it makes, when you guys discuss it, it makes me feel yucky.
Do you think that trying to punch a hole through this barrier is going to pop the bubble?
I don't know anything like that, but now that you say that, with those words like that out loud, oh my God, my heart's racing. I feel like I gotta have a diarrhea.
Pull out my
Don't
journal.
have a diarrhea.
And I look and I reread what the message that Rylar told us. The bubble is fragile. The causalic membrane must not be disrupted. The observer's presence actualized from within the framework would be catastrophic to the process. Find egress and attempt reconciliation of connection. The Twilight Imperium has spoken. Maybe we shouldn't pop the bubble.
My goodness, Goo! He just wants us to have the 3 connection to come in and out because it's the safest way. Oh, Goo, I don't know why you had to say it so weird.
Sorry, that's a DM moment.
Repeat what you said, Fern.
So Rylar now has diarrhea over the fact that we were going to try to like make a little door.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so please, I see that you popped up. So Goo already told us that the bubble is fragile, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have to keep it intact.
Yep.
So he says find egress, which is the stupidest way to say get out of the bubble. And then attempt reconciliation of the connection, which just means, connecting the 3 roots and stuff, like how we are already doing.
Or he could be saying get out of the bubble.
Say that again out loud.
Oh, Goo could have also meant reestablishing a connection to Goo outside of the. This is the only thing that could have come through.
Rylar says
way.
that makes more sense to me for some reason.
What he said.
Uh-huh.
Whatever.
But what you said.
My idea is still good.
But what you said before, Miss Fern, I think that you're right. I don't know why. I just feel it. The way you say it, Fern, you say, I don't know why, but I feel it in my heart.
You stole my words!
It's because you taught me them.
I did. You're welcome.
Mm.
So we continue forward.
Yeah, so do you want me to make a little rock dome for us to sleep in and we just have like a little that we watch that? So it's easier and we're safer? Does that sound smart or no?
It does.
Add a character, how long, you're talking about doing Wall of Stone? How long does Wall of Stone last?
So it's concentration up to 10 minutes, but if I concentrate on it for that full 10 minutes, it becomes an stone wall. So it's no longer magical and it becomes a permanent stone structure.
Oh wow, neat. So that means after that 10 minutes it can't even be dispelled.
Correct.
That's pretty cool. You can
Too bad it
you
doesn't
leave little
target
pockets of
area.
little mini castles everywhere.
No, for real though, she's gonna shape it into like a little.
So she's basically just a thing. No.
Wouldn't she make it into a little mini ziggurat?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have to be worried about the Lorkris hitting his head in the stanza.
That's a good point.
So I would be semi-courteous of,
Just basically an off-brand toff. Big 10.
So yeah,
That's the greatest earthbender. Sorry.
that is true.
Sure.
But okay, so it would look like a little house, with a little door.
Just a massive pyramid tent. I mean, what? They're 10-foot panels.
Yeah,
I'm only.
it's 10-foot panels.
Okay, I'm 6'4". Like, I'll be fine.
Okay, yeah, I'll make a little ziggurat.
I'm sure.
Awesome. So obviously you're gonna use the nodule to clear some space for this, and
Yeah.
then you're gonna make a little mini ziggurat.
Yeah.
I love
that
it.
can technically be seen from the other side.
Yep.
See it.
It can't be accessed, but it can be seen. Yep.
But you can see that.
And then, since it's nighttime, and I haven't used any of my spells. Okay, so I'm gonna use Wall of Stone. I'm gonna make the little stone house and stuff. And then I'm gonna use Plant Growth to make a little vines that go down in front of the door instead of having a real door. It's like little vines, so you have to like go through it like those bees.
It's a hippie.
She's gonna just add some moss and stuff onto this to make it look old.
The set dressing.
So everybody's just like, this is an ancient artifact, and Fern's like,
And then she's gonna put a face on it somewhere.
absolutely.
Oh my god.
Like, oh no.
This is so
the very-
mischievous.
More towards the top is where she's gonna sculpt like a really, like with moss and everything. She's gonna sculpt a really beautiful feminine face of like what she imagines Melora looks like.
Who?
Melora.
Ah.
And then she'll do like the Melora symbol.
Well, how does she know what Melora looks like?
She doesn't, so
Oh.
she's just pretending that she knows.
Okay, gotcha.
So she's her own creative flow,
Right.
you know? And then she'll have Melora at the top, like she'll have like a special little spot, and then the Melora symbol with moss. So it's all made out of moss and stuff. And then written in common with moss, it says, Melora is watching you.
I feel like you're trolling the Archdruid in case he ever comes this way. Or anybody from the MGA for that matter.
And then on the back side, where if anybody comes up to the wall and looks, on the back side, it's gonna say, Emillynn Ray is the best bard ever, predicted thousands and millions of years ago.
I love it. I love it. It's wonderful. So she exhausts herself doing all this before you guys go to bed. And you all just let her do her creative thing.
The whole time.
Just like in real life, I'm sure she when you're in the mood to be creative, she lets you just go nuts and lose yourself in your art.
Yeah.
I love it.
I run away to do my art, but yes.
Yeah.
While she's doing that, while the rest of camp is set up, Lorkris is gonna reread the notes and translation from his.
From what?
From my mentor's journal.
Ah.
I'm gonna
Okay.
reread those notes.
What is it you're looking for? Since I never actually like wrote them as actual words. What is it you're looking for? And I'll tell you if there's a possibility. Like we can maybe figure out something.
Got it. So this came about with all these new revelations. Lorkris wants to reread those things. Information like pops out from what he may have not understood before. I heard these words and what have you. So kind of cliff noting it, we understand that the bloody from Melora's order.
For some reason, you guys are cutting in and out again. I don't know why.
Is it this better? I hope so. So we know that the cult of the Bloody Eye came from offshoot of worshipping Melora. And that it originated from the Druids. It realized that there was a war a long time ago, unknown to most people. The survivors moved to Grisanthiya. And now he's starting to wonder if that war and those survivors were the defectors from the Gloam Elves and the defectors from the Goliaths. the original Druids were an interesting race of elves, wood elves. So Lorkris is, in reading that, is wondering if his encounter with his mentor actually truly chance, or was his mentor actively seeking
what?
Actively seeking my tribe. Because he seems to have been aligned with the Glomel, which were against the Goliaths. Would then make sense as to why he attacked Fern.
Wait, wouldn't that be the opposite then?
No, because Fern was of a defector. And
Oh, I
he
see
was
what
part of
you're
the cult. Yeah.
If he saw her as a defector, yeah.
And that his proximity to my clan could be that we were being hunted.
Tell you what, you spent a whole lot more time reading and studying his notes and his journal with a different mindset than you had before. And also, you have grown and become much wiser, more intelligent, more understanding of your own religion and the religions of the world now. So you actually, go ahead and roll me your religion check. And if you want, you can give yourself guidance too. And you can even have her inspire you while you're reading.
Do I have that? Hang on.
You should. I thought you did.
I might have not taken it. I have access to
Well,
it.
even if you don't have guidance, I can get you guidance from Rylar.
Okay. That's a D4, right?
Is guidance a D4?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guidance
So,
is
and
a
then
D4.
did you want to get an inspiration die from her as well?
Yes, I will give you a D10.
So you have a D10 and a D4 to add to whatever you got.
Hang on. That is 26 plus 6. That would 32.
Damn, you hit the nearly
I rolled a
impossible
16 on the
DC.
die. Yeah, so I got 16 on the die, a 1 on the, a 9 on the Bardic Inspiration, and then 6,
And then what?
and then plus 6.
Yeah, nice.
So 10 plus 16, 26 plus 6, 32.
You have a revelation, an epiphany about that. You realize something from reading his notes and reading and understanding religion better, your religion, all religions, philosophy better, you're more wise. Ultimately, your epiphany is that first of all, those kind of connections that you're looking for, like a direct reason from your mentor, turn out to be, your hypothesis about that as a possibility, turn out to be completely wrong. You realize that, no, that was not the case. He wasn't on any kind of specific special mission. Instead, your epiphany is that based upon the faction and denomination of the secret denomination of the religion that he was a part of, right? He was a member of a secret order within another religion. Your epiphany is that your new, not just hypothesis, but I mean, there's almost no way to test it without truly knowing, but again, you feel it in your bones like an epiphany, like a revelation, that the reality is that you think that this religion, what you know of the religion of Melora was something that evolved over a long period of time, and that the different schools and denominations that might have cropped up throughout the history of that religion just had people off you feel like it probably had your mentor off on a tangent. Now, you do think that it's entirely possible, your hypothesis that maybe the originator of this religion might have been an offshoot of people who escaped the island thousands of years ago. That is likely the case, actually. But when you think about how religions are made, like your new epiphany is maybe religions are more of a sociological construct than a mystical one. And that the reason why he thought of her as being heretical is because his particular order saw maybe there was some sort of, you don't know because there's not enough information there, but based upon the notes and the tone and your new understanding of everything, you have this conception that maybe throughout the many thousands of years of the history of this religion, from the survivors of the people who got off that island, that somewhere between then and now, the religion of Melora has gone through all these different changes and iterations, and it is what you know of it could become vastly different from the actual reality of it. And in fact, who knows what sort of connection the Glomels had to Melora, or the Triumvirate, if they have anything to do with it. Based upon what you know about the history of the Glomels from their history wall, the Triumvirate obviously were followers of arcane knowledge and magic, whereas obviously the Glomels were followers of druidic, natural divine magic. And but yeah, it's like you're reading his book from a completely different light now. Instead of reading the book of your mentor, it's more like, oh wow, this is the book of somebody who was just as ignorant as I was not that long ago. He was trying to make his way and understand things as best as he could, and the things that he taught me were the things that he was taught, and that there were factions within my own religion that were teaching opposite things. And that maybe there was something, maybe in the long history of it, there was some animosity that was created that was so visceral to him, to your mentor, that he, just viewed her as some sort of abomination that needed to be destroyed without even understanding everything that was actually true. Kind of like that experiment you might have done in school where you all sit in a line and you tell somebody
telephone
a rumor, right, or something. You tell them something, and then you see what it ends up being. The story is completely different from the final person, from the first person to the final person. Mm-hmm. Now imagine that's stretched out over thousands of years in multiple different cultures and tribes. And that's what you've arrived to. It makes you feel both disappointment in your mentor, but also kind of an understanding and forgiveness too. He was just a regular flawed man who was so zealous in his religion that he was willing to do terrible things in the name of it. And it makes you think a little bit about yourself and what you want to do now going forward. And it's both an epiphany, but also brings about some confusion, not only just of the fact that, your relationship with Melora, since you still somewhere within you believe that you're whatchamacallit?
Where?
Paladin.
No,
Paladin?
Oathbreaker. Oathbreaker, right?
Yeah.
But that also, what does that mean for my, I mean, this relationship that I've had with Weejoss? I mean, that wasn't born from being raised by it, right? But I'm experiencing something. What is that? And so this new revelation also comes with more layers of confusion.
Of course. Of course, you can't have answers without questions.
I mean,
Lorkris, like I imagine 100% he's like going through his head this moment, just like, why are there always more questions? He's like, he's happily bitter about it. He's like, I am upset that I know this now, but glad I do.
do you
See the
share
little
any of these thoughts and feelings with the group, or just kind of keep them to yourself?
This would be during his watch, so it wouldn't be till the next.
Gotcha.
Just see Lorkris going, why do you keep answering my questions with questions?
I mean, so since Philip is awake, does Philip comment on any of like Lorkris? Like,
Yeah, Philip was just happily watching Emillynn sleep, and one of his eyes perked over at your reaction, and so he like floated over to you, as far as he can go, and said, "What's up, Lorkris? You're supposed to be the tough guy that beats up on the monsters and stuff. You look kind of frustrated, dude."
Dude.
okay, remember when we tried to decipher Notebook? And
Yeah.
we got a lot of information out of it, but it was just information with no content.
Yeah, I was reading it over Myth Ray's shoulder. I hope you don't mind. But I always do that. So.
I mean, at the time, didn't know if you were really real. She would talk to you all the time, so I'd imagine you. There were a lot of things that happened. Brings up some questions about religion in general. At least the good thing I know is that my mentor had no ulterior per se. He was just arguably a devout man. Flawed, but devout. Can't really blame him if you learn one thing a particular way without knowing the truth. I thought reading it again would bring me more comfort than it does, but it poses more questions. What is the truth? Is religion just any faith, just faith? Or is it something more?
Well, I don't know about I don't know how I can't really answer your whole faith question part, but all I can say is in regards to the more questions, welcome to my world. I've been around, in Mithray's life since I know, the last 20 years, and we never been able to figure out anything about me until, that creepy thing that you guys blew up.
That was pretty weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, that kind of really freaked me out. Honestly, it terrifies me that I might end up being like that thing. I don't think I would. I don't suppose that I would. But I don't know. He shrugs his eyeballs.
I imagine they function like eyebrows where it's just like a shrug. Y'all just extend
No,
up.
it's just little eyeballs, like.
Yep.
They do the shoulders.
Yep. Two of them twist out and then just go.
That's
It's so stupid. I love it so
that's such a cursed image in my brain.
You're welcome. I mean, if you think about it, his entire existence, the only interactions that he's ever seen is Miss Ray and other people who can't ever see and hear him. So he's gonna mimic them and or her. You know, he would have learned it all from her.
Yeah. On a different topic.
Mm.
Do you enjoy the fact that we can now speak?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Mithrai's more than enough. You know, she's my bestest friend, and I'm hers forever, and she's my human. But it's nice to have other friends too.
Emilynn's a half elf.
I think I heard her say in her dream that she was chastising my comment saying that she's a half elf. Like, I'm just mean a human like person. Like, oh my God, she's as much of a pill with me as I am with her sometimes.
She is something special, isn't she?
Mm. Well, you all are.
Yeah. Did you ever think that when we first met Emillynn, we'd be here?
Well, you know, to be honest, I'm just sort of a kind of go with the flow kind of guy. So, you know, I don't know. I don't worry too much about what the next day might bring. As long as I get to be with Miss Emillynn Ray and listen to her, then that's good enough for me. But if looking back on things, well, we've been through some interesting events with them for sure.
Remember the Chimera?
Oh my God, I was so terrified he was gonna die. Don't remind me of that one.
And then for as long as Philip is willing to entertain, just kind of go back through the memories of things like the Chimera, the Etten, the Mama Etten shamble. Oh, what'd you think of this? Like, just kind of like.
After about 3 or 4 of them, he's like, okay, all right, I appreciate you. We can chat more on your next watch, but I got to go be next to Miss Ray now. Thank you. You're awesome, Lorkris. I love watching you in battle, and I love telling you to kill more stuff again and hit them again and stuff. It's fun.
I reach out to like high five, like instinctually. Just
he looks at that and he's like, I'm not sure what to do with that. I mean, I know what you're doing, but I can't really, like, you know, I don't think you want to touch my eyeball.
Kind of going for like a fist bump.
Oh,
like
okay,
yeah.
He reaches out one of his little tentacles with the eye closed and does that. And he's like, night, night, and he goes and plops down on her again. This time he cuddles up on
continues to
her
just
neck.
reread. For the rest of his watch, he'll kind of just kind of reread it and just continue to just ponder the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I could so see you guys doing the little fist bump.
Yep.
One little eye stalk just crunched in. Oops, sorry.
It curls in like a.
You hit it, it just goes. Yeah.
Or you
All
just
right.
hold your fist there and he just taps his little eye stalk.
Yep. So, just to be clear, the next morning, your intent is to now head back. So your night goes uneventful, except that throughout each of your watches, you all, for a brief moment, think you hear, even Lorkris with his low passive, think you hear some sort of cracking, moving grinding, groaning sound, like the forest. I don't know. Maybe you all think maybe it's just the pressure of the forest itself falling in on itself now that it's decaying. Maybe that's what it is. But I don't know. You all are a little bit curious about it and think that, you could travel towards it at some point. Since you have to travel east anyway, it would only mean going a little bit north to go towards it. Because it is coming from the east. It's coming from the north, but coming from the northeast. So, it wouldn't be too bad of a trip if you decide to do that. And was there any other role playing you guys want to do in the morning?
What's Chocopillar doing?
So in the morning, he seems to be super active. He's really wiggly, and but all night he seemed to be like that night. He seemed to be kind of very docile and unmoving. No wiggliness at all during the night, like he was exhausted from trying too hard the previous day, or like he's resting up so he can try really, really hard the next day. And what I'm going to do is, if it's all right with you guys, if there wasn't any other role playing in the morning you were going to do, since you're just going to be creating a tunnel northeast through the deep wood, we'll leave on a description of what happens when you come to the central area of the deep wood. You find kind of except for the roof above, the canopy, you find an area in the center that, as you get closer to it, Fern starts feeling that yucky nausea again. Luckily, as she grasps the nodule, it basically just makes that yucky feeling go away. It's not that it's good, like it's not. It's just like it's empowering her not to feel that way. And as you basically come to an open grove, except it's not open at the top, right? It's just a giant open grove that's probably, I would say, it's hard to say a mile wide. I guess it would be a mile on. It's triangular shaped. As you break forth into it, it just kind of suddenly. You see up ahead, it looks like it's open, because she parts the trees 20 feet in front. As she comes out of it, you find this grove, and the things that you see in the grove kind of shock and awe you. At the edge of each point of the grove, it's in a triangular shape. And at the edge of each is a giant cairn. You guys know what a cairn is, right? It's like a pile of rocks in a tier, right? Sometimes they can be connected together, or sometimes they're just piled on top of each other. These are piled on top of each other and then molded together and have like runes and shapes, but they're huge. They're like 20 feet tall, and creating this kind of central, like hollowed out zone inside the center of the deep wood. And in the center of that deep wood is this ancient, dark looking old oak tree. And crawling in and out of that old oak tree, creating that cracking, groaning sound every once in a while. Is this.
Oh, sorry.
It looks like a giant, aberrant, corrupted caterpillar.
Chunk of poop.
Yeah. It looks, and its eyes are that burning with that yellow, that gross yellow color that you'd seen before, that glowing yellow, and it's just burning with hate and corruption and you can tell its intent is to just devour any living thing. And so we will be stopping on a cliffhanger, because at the beginning of next week, you guys will get into a fight with this thing. Immediately, as soon as you see this thing, you feel Chonkapillar suddenly start to violently shake inside of your backpack. And that's where we'll stop for the night.
Seriously.
Druid's like, no! Are you saying yes, Druid?
I'm literally just going,
Oh, okay.
Just going, eh.
but really loud.
Well, biscuits.
Oh no! We're gonna have to fight Chocolate Mom!
She keeps thinking that everything is, it's Philip's dad or it's Chonkapillar's mom. That's so cute.
What if it's Chonkapillar's third cousin?
No.
Insomnia Night. It's his brother's cousin's roommate's friend. I love you, Insomnia Night. I love you so.
That's good. That's good.
Okay. Wow. So,
Wow.
it's Uncle Bob. That's what Banana Tom said.
Uncle Bob, why would you do that? Why do you want to eat everyone? Stupid.
Oh, well.
So not only is Fern gonna start leaving around just random faces on trees, she's gonna all just random ziggurats all over the place.
Well,
Yeah, instead of Karens, you're just gonna make small little ziggurats next to trees you put faces on.
This little stuff, you know? I want people to just be like, what does this mean? Nothing. Spend all your life trying to figure it out.
it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Speaking of
It's
wonderful, our audience is wonderful. We love you guys so much. Thank you for coming in for another regular episode. It was fantastic to have you all here spending time with us. And
It's so good.
yeah, new layers peeled, new secrets revealed,
More questions.
more questions.
Not enough
We had-
answers.
We had 2 of our party roll above a 30, and both of them had revelation on stuff that still had more questions than answers.
But no appealing. Thank you. Oh. Then I will just make like a banana and split.
Okay.
I will stab him for you, Banana Tom. Just tell me.
That was-
Just tell me what.
Yeah, do it now.
Not on stream. Not on stream.
Yeah, not really.
Not
no.
on stream.
Oh, okay, okay.
Now you can, if it were like a Nerf knife, then that'd be okay.
It's a
Nope.
Thank you, Insomnia Night. That's a wonderful thing to say. I appreciate you so.
Nah, yeah. Set the chicken nug on him. I can say loving me right now.
Oh yeah, no. Literally, Fate is the greatest being ever to exist right now, according to her.
Oh wow, really?
Oh yeah. Well, you know, it's springtime, and that means nesting time. That means, you know,
Horny burp.
that means horny burp.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So like this morning, I'm like, okay, you know, because occasionally we'll grab her and kind of like hold her, and she'll snuggle in, and while I'm laying in bed. Most of the time she's pretty chill. But when she starts like trying to preen my eyelashes and my eyelid and is just all like on my face. Yeah, we gotta back up.
Yeah. So I basically have to keep them separated.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
She also is in love with Banana Tom's voice. She'll like garble back at him. It is the cutest thing.
That is
Which is,
fantastic. I mean, not surprising, he has a fantastic voice. Dude, you were made for this. Absolutely made for this.
Yeah, I agree.
So.
Oh man, what episode? And we're gonna start with initiative.
I know. It's been a minute since we had to fight anything.
2 episodes.
That's true. It has. It's been several sessions, I think.
2 episodes.
Two.
Only 2?
Only 2.
Yeah,
Well, I
because the
know,
beholder.
Because we did lore last time, and the time before it was the beholder. The beholder.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
Okay.
we've last episode was like heavy lore. Today was
Today was
average
traveling
lore.
day.
Average lore
Today
with
was
lots
the-
of role playing.
Yeah, today was an Epiphany Day, and then next week is gonna be we're basically gonna be fighting something out of Diablo 4. I mean, that thing is terrifying.
Yeah.
So
Isn't that next week?
yeah,
Yep.
right.
Diablo
Yeah,
4
baby.
is the first Thursday. It'll actually, I'll probably.
I thought we started Friday.
Yeah, it turns out that
Right.
that was Friday for the rest of the world. It's Thursday for us.
Because we pre-ordered?
No. Well,
I thought
yeah,
it was-
like it's so it actually launches on the 6th. But
Yeah.
the advertising they've been doing has been for the not the Western Hemisphere, but the rest of the world, right? And they didn't make that super clear. Almost all the websites, like if you Google it, the first thing that comes up, June 2nd for pre-orders, right? June 6th for non-pre-orders, and June. But that's because it's most of the world. But for the U.S., for our time zone, it's 6 p.m. Central Time on Thursday, the 1st.
Yep. Early access to Diablo 4 begins June 1st at 4 p.m. PDT for anyone who pre-purchases a digital deluxe or ultimate edition before our official launch.
Gotcha. That's why at least I misunderstood when the server ended on Sunday. That ended at an time. Yeah.
Yep, same here. I mean, I totally bagged it. It was my fault, and I feel bad about that. But
Oh, we
okay.
easily could have looked it up ourselves.
Yeah.
So don't blame it on you.
Sorry.
We
And
have access to the internet.
and I got the important W backpack, so that's fine.
yeah,
I got that. I got one. No biggie. And because nothing else carries over, so it's not like that would affect the game in any aggressively meaningful way, other than clout.
So this is going to be a super busy weekend coming up, guys, because
Yeah.
Thursday, what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to start my stream early Thursday to play Daggerfall, and then probably around 7 o'clock switch to Diablo. And then Friday morning, I'll do a little bit of Diablo. I don't know if I'll stream it. I'll have to decide. I'm definitely going to play it. I might stream it too, probably. Then, of course, bandwidth and banter. And then we'll be doing Diablo on your stream, I would think, right? And then
Correct.
we'll be taking a break from Solasta Friday night to do more Diablo Friday night. I know you are going to be doing your D&D thing, so.
Oh, I mean.
And then
But-
Saturday, some during the day Saturday, we'll probably be doing some Diablo too
With Aries.
with Aries, right? If he wants to.
if he wants to.
Because he's been saying he doesn't necessarily want to do that on Saturdays. We'll see. Hopefully we can talk him into it. But
No, he said today
I
that he's going to be
think-
playing
I think
Diablo
what-
next Saturday.
oh, he would. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if Banana Tom is here, or not Banana, excuse me. I know Banana Tom, you're here.
Yeah.
Aries, if you're here.
Mhm.
I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I think the context would be streaming it before D&D, but it would still play it,
Right.
that kind of thing. I don't know if that's.
Well, don't forget that also at 5, so we're going to be starting the D&D stream early. It won't technically be the D&D stream. 5 o'clock is when we're doing the maid cosplay stream.
And I get pancakes.
She gets pancakes. Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm going to serve her pancakes as her maid. And then after that, we'll be doing D&D regular time. And then Sunday, Diablo with Fate. And so I don't know about you guys. My plan is not to do the story missions on stream. Because one, I don't want to spoil it for anybody who doesn't want it spoiled. And two, it takes a lot of time out of the stream to watch the videos, of the story. So I feel like I'm going to do the story on my own outside of stream. And then that way we can concentrate whenever we stream it together to just, go through dungeons and fight boss monsters and look for Lilith statues and all of that stuff and just have fun. What do you guys think? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
It does.
Before we get you, I want to help you get that Discord overlay. For your stream.
Yeah.
So that's something I want to talk to you about this week coming up at some point, trying to help you get that set up.
It's going to be a little bit stressful weekend for you guys too, because you're going to be setting up the computer this week, right?
I'm setting up Monday.
Okay.
And so honestly, like setting up the computer is getting everything hooked up for Druid's computer is whatever. I just need to make sure it turns on, make sure that it loads up.
Physically it'll be easy, sure. I'm talking about setting up Streamlabs and all the overlays and all the audio and yeah.
So that's all Druid.
Yeah.
Most of Monday is actually my stream space. Because I have to do monitors, I gotta do everything. I'm gonna move all of this over there. Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Well, I'm available to you guys during the day. I will help you as much as I can. And
Thank you.
Don't worry, everybody will know if I am
if you are what?
if I am having issues with getting it all set up. Everyone will know.
Okay.
Yeah.
You'll be the first one to know, and everybody else after.
Hopefully, in your time off, I can help you get it. If you need help, get it going without any hiccups for the actual stream and stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I am gonna be doing some test streams for audio and stuff. Well, and so if anybody wants to help out with audio stuff.
Yeah, I'm there. I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll hop onto Discord calls and people can check it over the stream and stuff. Yeah, Fates doesn't have. I want to be able to do it by myself.
So out of curiosity, which, you know what? We should probably have this conversation outside of the stream. This part, anyway. The rest of the tech stuff. But so we're gonna wrap it up now. I do want to ask you about your microphone and stuff. But for now, was there anything else we wanted to share with the folks, with the community? But Ansom says, "Oh, Druid, you have Naboo doing a hurdle jumping video from Bobo."
I know.
Oh.
These are things I look forward to in my days, is whenever I get random videos from Banana Tom and Bobo about my Lord and Savior.
Naboo.
So.
All right. Well, guys, anything else to add?
You guys are all wonderful people.
Facts.
We love you, chat.
Facts.
Everybody.
Is
Love
this
All
how you
us.
do it?
heart.
New age heart.
Little heart.
New.
I'm adapting.
The new age heart is stupid.
The new age heart actually looks like a heart.
Public service announcement, the new age heart is stupid. In my personal opinion.
Macarena.
It is not difficult to go like this. This is a heart. This is ridiculous. I don't know what this is. This little baby heart thing, it's fine. It's fine. It's snarky, whatever.
This makes me feel like I'm in a love gang.
Yeah, it does. It's stupid. This is no.
You're doing great.
This.
This is how we feel about you guys, though. We think of all these different ways that we can express our love to you. So, thank you all so much for another episode of Dungeons and Dragons. We'll see you guys next time. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.
Goodbye. Goodbye.